You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
All right, welcome in. Happy Thursday. It is Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning, Connor.
Are we ready? It's almost the weekend. It's almost time to watch Big East basketball.
Jays.
Another day. Joey's excited about the Blue Jays playing today. I'm glad they play early. I'm excited about that. They don't have to wait until 10 o'clock to tip off.
I sent a text yesterday to a mutual friend of ours that I had said that I really had a welcome to Omaha moment this week because something in Lincoln that you never, ever hear about or would see. And frankly, I'm noticing it more on Twitter, which is something that I had in Lincoln. Just the straight worshiping of the Big East tournament. It's everywhere.
So you've never even noticed this before?
It's not a thing that made its way down past this portion of I-80.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's
the
that
amount of media members that cover Creighton, the way they talk about it. There's Matt DeMarinis had a tweet yesterday about who was it? Xavier and
Marquette.
The two, he's two Midwest schools are playing each other. And this arena is just full of juice. Yep. And it might have been. It's just never think about the Big East tournament. And that is something that.
So I guess it must be that and the College World Series. The Lincoln they're just they have a dome over the top of it and it doesn't matter.
I don't know if Lincoln collectively cares about the College World Series. My pocket of Lincoln, the College World Series is something I've been going to for years. So that's a thing that I care about.
Like we've said, maybe we need to start getting you to the Big East tournament and you'll see the light.
I was thinking about I need to see this for myself because my skepticism is at an all-time high.
There's nothing like it.
There's not a single matchup today in their quarterfinals that feature two winning teams.
I know. It's amazing.
Crazy. It's just wild.
Every single lower seed won yesterday in the Big East tournament.
I didn't think about that.
So it's yes about the basketball. It creates awesome moments and all that stuff. But it's the buzz and the vibe.
The
and it's the New York of it all.
Sure.
And people, there are some other tournaments where you could place it in an NBA arena, and it's there will people be walking outside of the arena, and they'll be like, "Wait, so what's going on in there again? There's a Northwestern Penn State game. That's kind of crazy. Maybe I should go in and get a ticket. It'll cost $1 or whatever it might be." But
it'll feel overpriced for that dollar.
And it's the Big Ten is moving to all these variety of different locations. This is a staple. It doesn't matter who's there. I was watching. I came across a couple of different. One of the things famous about the Big East tournament is that they carry live the introductions before the championship game, and so there's this large catalog of all of the starting lineup introductions for as long as you can remember. And so I saw Creighton's from last year, Creighton and St. John's from last year, which I watched through once. The other one that popped up on my feed yesterday was 08 Pitt Georgetown, which was it was Roy Hibbert versus DeJuan Blair.
Players that would have been in that.
Roy Hibbert versus DeJuan Blair.
Yeah, that would be the only Pitt player I could think of.
It was awesome.
No ACL DeJuan Blair.
Levance Fields was in there too for Pittsburgh. Yeah, there's
got to be other Georgetown players that I would remember from that.
If Levance Fields showed up on the account of that dude rocked account, I would immediately regain respect for it. But I think it might be too far gone at this point.
Yeah, you're too mad at that account for you to really come back.
I am. It's such great potential, but such horrible execution at this point. I don't know if that was I don't know what Georgetown did in the NCAA tournament that year. I think I'm not sure what they did, but anyway. So you just have this giant catalog.
Patrick Ewing Jr. was on that team.
Patrick Ewing Jr. Nice.
Vernon Macklin's another name. Dwan Summers. Those are the names I sort of.
Dwan
remember.
Summers in the starting lineup. Yeah. It's fantastic. So we're gonna get you there, and you're gonna see the light, and you're gonna be like, "Whoa!" All these people that were saying all these things, they were right.
I am willing to go as an impartial observer to determine whether this is the greatest conference tournament of all time,
and we are willing to let you see it as an impartial observer. As an impartial, I felt FOMO yesterday. I was like, "What am I doing? Like, why did I not make the effort to go to this? I can't believe I didn't do it." And
you could have went.
I could have indeed went. Text from the 515. Depends on whether you have a dog in the fight or not. The Mountain West tourney matters to the Mountain West. Yeah, I think it's a little bit different than that. Like it's obviously it's more important if you do have a dog in the fight.
Sure,
but it's like Richard Pitino said. Fanta was saying this over and over yesterday on the broadcast. Richard Pitino had talked openly about like. He liked his situation at New Mexico, but he left for Xavier because he wanted to coach in the Big East tournament. Like, obviously, he wanted to win games and take Xavier to the NCAA tournament and all these different things.
Did Xavier pay him more money?
I'm sure Xavier paid him more money.
I think that kind of
but he
matters.
But he was like, I wanted to coach in the Big East tournament. This is the Mecca. This is what it's all about. And then I've really enjoyed how his name's popped up for the Providence job. Did you see how his dad shut that rumor down the other day?
No. That's amazing.
He went on a stupid podcast from his office with his giant old man TV remote. And he was like, somebody asked him, was like, okay, so do you think Richard's going to take the Providence job if it opens or whatever? And he was like, no, Richard's not going to do that. He's not going to take the Providence job. He loves PC. I love PC, all these different things, but he can't leave after 1 year. He wouldn't do it. You know,
that's a good impression. Good old man Rick.
It's fantastic.
I'm imagining his office, and it's still like I know this wouldn't be true because he hasn't been at St. John's that long, but just the style of coach or how long he's been in basketball. Easy for me to envision that he would have this like collection of VHS tapes that are off to the side.
So,
and then like the small TV that has the VCR combo would be sitting in a way on his desk that he could just grab one of those tapes, pop it in.
The one or two times we've gotten, because he always is doing stuff from that desk. Mm-hmm. It feels like that's like his podcast spot too. It didn't look like that 90s, but very on brand for Rick Pitino. There was lots of remotes. Like, old dudes, they have how many remotes they have? Like a lot of remotes.
And then they get the universal remote and they learn that there's something they have that can't be programmed with it.
That's right.
And so then they end up with like 3 remotes when they really only wanted 1.
3 remotes and then 1 giant remote.
Yes.
And that's what Rick Pitino has. There's just stuff strewn all over the desk and things like that.
Kind of what we got here.
We've got 4 here.
We're basically like a Rick Pitino desk.
I don't even know what all of these go for, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, we recently got a new television, so I mean,
well, I'm gonna need that Roku stick for the Creighton game today when I'm producing.
Joey is back in the saddle as far as making.
He had an emotional tweet.
This is the last dance.
He did.
Yeah, it just said Jays, and then it was pictures of him.
Oh, that's not emotional. That's just game day.
Yeah, it's just old pictures of me in New York.
It was emotional.
There's things you got to get accustomed to, Schaefer.
I think he had the same exact expression in all of the photos.
I had some pictures of the MSG, but I didn't want to post them because there's none of me. There was pictures of a tour guy that looked like Happer.
That's pretty
from
funny.
10 years ago.
This take from Sal. Let me know what you think about this on YouTube. Conference tournament week is better than the first weekend of March Madness, which is better than the second weekend of March Madness and beyond. Sal, I just can't take you that far. I like where you're going. I like the the thought process here. I cannot tell you that the conference tournament weekend is better than the next weekend. But other than that, the first weekend is better than all the other weekends of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I agree with the second half of the statement.
The first weekend is the best weekend of the year.
It's like
point blank period.
It is.
It's better than any college football NFL weekend. It's better than.
I can't get there because I'll take the divisional round of the the NFL playoffs.
A weekend
over it.
I love. A weekend I
But
love.
that's
Great
like
weekend.
that's the only competition I can think of. Like, so that's basically it. And it's partly because you're usually getting like the best NFL teams. There's always a terrific game, etc. But and just the fact that you're going to have 32 games played over across 2 days, and then another 16 the next 2. I mean, so it's the potential for so many moments.
It's just, and the way that they stagger the games, like there's, once you finally hit the full-fledged on that first Thursday of the NCAA tournament, 1 week from today, by the way,
Yes.
we'll hit full mast, maybe literally in 1 week in like 6 hours. Right about noon, a little after noon, we get the 4 games. We'll get our first quad box. The first game will start at what?
11:15, then
11:15, or is it 10:50? No, 11:15.
Yeah,
11:15.
Then
because this is the only time in this entire year, the only 2 days in which I will watch any of the Prices Right. Because I'm always amazed that they take it all the way to the top of the hour.
Yeah.
They don't start the college basketball pregame show until 15 minutes before the tournament starts.
The letters coming in from the old people who watch Price is Right.
Unbelievable. It's shocking to me.
That might be one of the most unmovable daytime television things, period.
I guess so. If it's not movable for the NCAA tournament, it's not movable for literally anything.
Yeah, we won't get the quad box here until like 1 o'clock because it's 11:15, 11:45-ish, 12:30, and then the last game out west would start at 1 o'clock. I think.
There you go.
That's
we
usually how it
should
works.
tomorrow, because we won't have an opportunity before it's released. We should give our predictions for where Nebraska is going to play, who they play. You could do the whole region, like the pod if you want, and then what time they would play.
Okay.
So there's a lot of the
Joey's going to have a leg up on us.
This is his world.
Yeah.
But there's this account that pops up for me every now and then where it's like this guy who's, I'm going to take bracketology one step further. I'm giving you the times and the television network.
I've seen this.
And I kind of love it. It's basically like, you're going to do this. I'm going to do this.
I love the idea. I wonder how much thought he puts in the time in the TV and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or if even if it's just garnish, even if it's just meaningless garnish, I'm fine with that too. It's great.
My assumption always is that certain brands are chosen to be played around that 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. window, because that's when you're going to get, your best opportunity to have a ratings if you have a Kansas.
Well, I just think they'll tie.
It is.
There's that. There's definitely some of that. But there's also, they're going to tie the most juicy matchups / biggest stars to the best broadcasting crew / the best network. So we'll see.
And this one goes as so far as to give you which broadcasters for which games.
And in order to actually do it, you would have to make a whole tournament bracket like this guy did.
No, it's amazing.
I don't know that I'm up for the challenge.
I'm sitting there looking. I think we just condense it to just Nebraska.
I'm going to take somebody else's bracket and then I'm going to figure it out. Yeah. All right.
No, that'll be good.
We will put that together tomorrow. A text from the 515 says, wait till the first round of the 32-team college football playoff.
Oh, boy.
This is something that we could discuss actually when we come back. Did you see that thing going around yesterday that was like, do you want Group A or Group B? And it was like major events in sports. Oh yeah, you're gonna love this. So
now I'm intrigued.
So hang on, we'll do that here in just a couple minutes. But as we welcome you to the show, Brian Christopherson's going to join today at 8:30. Max Olson's going to join at 9:15. Also, it is Thursday, and at 8 o'clock, you will have opinions. Send them our way. It's I have an opinion. Get in touch with the show any way you'd like. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed at HappenSchafe, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer. Email Connor, Mike Joey 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. Sal has already commented in with a topic this morning, and we thank him for.
Thank you, Sal.
We thank him for that. Elsewhere today, we'll check out a Nebraska football practice from yesterday. We'll do another run of hype or hope. A few more topics left. We'll talk about Creighton and Seton Hall today in the Big East tournament. Nebraska waits one more day. They get the winner of Northwestern and Purdue, not Indiana and Purdue.
Indiana gets a long wait to see if they get to go to the NCAA tournament.
I think every bubble team lost yesterday, so there was that.
Except for Auburn, unfortunately.
Except for Auburn.
The one that I probably wanted to see lose the
They
most.
were in a dogfight with Mississippi State until like the last 5 minutes where they just went on a 19-4 run to end the game.
This is not
So
good.
it still did not look good for them, but
It doesn't have to look good. They're in the
If
SEC.
they win today, they'll probably be a 5 seed.
yeah, they got Tennessee today.
They'll be a 5, and Miami of Ohio will be a 12.
Also, Mark DeRosa takes a deep breath and sleeps well, all thanks to my beautiful, beautiful boy, Vinny Pasquantino.
I saw a stat on Vinny P that I'm excited to share with you.
No man until last night has hit 3 home runs in a single game in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
Vinny Pasquantino is the first to do it.
I think he's a fitting first person for it.
Why? Because it's just weird.
Apparently, he's like the architect of this whole Italian team.
I think so.
That's what the manager was saying.
He was recruiting guys.
Yeah, he's basically like, I had little to do with it. Vinny put the thing together, so talk to him about it.
GM Vinny Pasquantino. He's always fancied himself to be a GM. He has lots of NFL takes.
I like the energy. I like the overall thing that comes along with him.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We will jump into it. A lot of things to get to today on a Thursday edition of Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, here's the thing that Schaefer is excited about. I'm almost positive I know which one you're picking.
Okay.
It's very easy for me. I think it's very easy for a lot of people, but we do live in. I don't know. I'm just gonna toss it to you. All right, so you can only watch one group of these post seasons
Okay.
for the / events for the rest of your life. The others go away. All right. Group A, Masters, baseball playoffs, MLB postseason, college football playoff, Stanley Cup, not final, just Stanley Cup playoffs. All right. That's the group. Masters, MLB playoffs, college football playoff, Stanley Cup playoffs.
Okay.
Group B, NFL playoffs, NCAA basketball tournament, NBA playoffs, World Cup.
This is pretty brutal because you basically split the two things that, like choosing between the NFL playoffs and the Major League Baseball playoffs is difficult for me.
Okay.
So
I'm a baseball guy. I love the baseball postseason, but the NFL playoffs outweighs the baseball playoffs.
Yeah, no,
I
get that. It's also, you remember what it was like in 14 and 15 and watching it with your team.
Oh, do I ever?
You go back to that and it's like, oh yeah, that or the NFL playoffs, and then it changes it a little bit for you.
Agreed.
My problem is Cleveland keeps reaching the playoffs, winning like 2 games, and then I'm invested, and then I'm dead.
There will be things that I will miss about these events.
No,
even since they will be
the
dead.
Masters, like that's a tough one to give up too.
Sorry, Masters, you're done.
Yeah,
College World Playoff, I don't care about you at all. College World Playoff is actually weighing that group down.
Most of the better.
I wouldn't say that because it's been pretty good for the last couple of years.
Most of the better sporting events is in that Group B with the NFL playoffs. World Cup, once in every 4 years, that is a great event.
I love the NBA playoffs.
World Cup
NBA playoffs
there's
is
what,
great.
8 of those. If I were to rank them, World Cup is probably 5th. So that second group is weighed really well. It's just I don't want to give up the
You just got a bunch
playoffs.
of consistent winners in there.
Well, I think you have either 1, 3, and 5 there. I don't care about like the NBA playoffs, Stanley. Like it doesn't, whatever. And so
that one weighs pretty heavy for me. I like that. I like the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, if I never watched it again.
Okay, so just rank them. Like just rank the 8.
I think it's the NFL playoffs 1, Major League Baseball playoffs 2, NCAA tournament 3. Then it gets into you could go any order of 4, 5, 6. It depends on the year for me of college football playoff, Masters, World Cup. Any of those. Like if United States soccer is remotely interesting, the World Cup could be 4th. If for some reason I'm really into golf again, the Masters could be 4th. The college football playoff could be 4th, but because the NFL playoff is better, that pushes it down for me.
That's what kills that among other things. That's what kills the college football playoff for me. But it's going over the top of the NFL playoffs. The college football playoff, I don't know what day it's on.
Random day of the week.
I don't know how many damn teams are in it.
12.
Now, but we'll see what it is.
We don't know how many
what it is next
be.
year.
And we had 2 group of 5 teams in the previous 12-team playoff.
Like the college football playoff could be last. You could make an argument that the college football playoff is the worst playoff entity that we listed.
I'm going to invest significantly more time and thought in that than I would be the NBA playoffs or the NHL.
I love the NBA playoffs. Now the thing about the NBA playoffs that trigger me is that they're too long. I agree. And the first 2 rounds don't matter really at all.
There's 20 teams that are involved with the NBA.
Yeah, I'm not saying
about the play-in tournament.
Now, I'm not saying I like the process and how they get to the NBA playoffs. I most certainly do not.
20 teams in 4 months.
Well, now you have to have 2 different streaming services to actually watch the playoffs, with NBC, Peacock having TV rights, and then you got Prime Video, and then also ESPN, ABC is carrying the finals.
NBA TV is still involved.
I don't think so with the postseason anymore, since you got Prime and NBC Peacock.
I just think once we get past the first round of the NBA playoffs, it's all really good stuff.
I think the first round needs to be cut to best of 5 like it used to be in the olden days. I do agree how it takes forever just to get through. It's 2.5 months of your time.
Could this be affecting my opinion? A text from the 515. Well, when your chosen college football team has a .166 winning percentage in November over the last 2 generations, it makes the college football playoff pretty trivial. I really don't think about it that way because I like college football as a whole.
You know, I don't think about it that way. I love the NCAA tournament. And
Yeah.
we know full well how Nebraska's done in that.
Yeah, I've
let alone
never
their ability to reach it.
I've never felt like Nebraska was ever going to make the college football playoff, and I still care about college football. You know,
Yeah.
That's never really been a threat outside of 1 year, the first year.
I think it's Group B, but it is very, very close.
Mine is Group B heavy.
It's just there's 3 events there that, you know, supersede the totality of the 4 events on the other side.
Group
3
B
events on
in
the other
a
side.
runaway.
Yeah.
Folks.
It's definitely not a runaway for me.
In a runaway. I like the World Cup.
Like I said, my 2
I'm-
favorite sports weekends are essentially the first, second round of the NCAA tournament and the divisional round of the NFL playoffs.
I'm basically just carrying along the World Cup for the ride here. It's cool. I'll
It's
match it up
fun.
evenly with the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, I'm fine with it. I'll watch the finals if we get there and it's
Mhm.
closer or whatever it might be. But I definitely like the Masters and I love the MLB postseason. But it's just there's too much strength with the NFL playoffs and the NCAA tournament.
The fun thing about the World Cup and hockey, it's just hard to score. And when you see teams scoring, it's just one of the greatest things you'll see.
So the problem is the problem is I don't want to. I'm going to save the NCAA tournament in basketball almost every once again, the question was if you could only watch one group of these for the rest of your life, which is it? I can't. The worst thing ever would be the NCAA tournament going away or really changing in any capacity, which the NCAA tournament did already go away once in our lifetime, and it's gonna change, which is the worst possible thing that
it's already changed.
I mean, it's going to
Change in a small way. And frankly, I mean, I'm good with the play-in stuff.
The next change will be a little bit more drastic.
I'm not good with that.
I am not good with it either. And so I want to save it as much as possible. I should have put this up a long time ago, but for those of you who are watching along with this on our YouTube stream, I will put this up so that way you can see it. Actually, maybe I can't for some reason, but I know why. Hold on. Filibuster. Nobody else is filibustering.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Well, so here, we'll change topics slightly as you do.
We're
this.
changing topics.
It's slightly.
Okay, here.
I mean, it's okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
The threat of changing topics made
Here,
it work.
Joey, take us down, or I don't know. Oh, it came in the background
You
again.
did it
All right.
again.
All right, I'm sorry. Never mind. Just forget it. Forget this entire thing ever happened. What's the topic change we're going to do?
Bada Bing asks, what would mean more to Husker athletics, Husker baseball winning a College World Series,
Whoa.
or basketball making a run to the Sweet 16 Final Four? What would you rather have as a fan?
Okay. So we're putting ourselves in the shoes of I am diehard Nebraska baseball fan and I am diehard Nebraska ball fan, or are you literally asking me?
I think he's just asking the collective,
Okay.
like what people would probably want. It's always hard for me to not take a championship when a championship is the offered thing. And I fully remember, I wish that I lived in Omaha at this time, but I fully remember what it was like when they made the College World Series and the sheer enthusiasm for
It was cool.
all of that. So I would very, very much be interested in it. At the same time, I mean, I also know what the recent basketball experience has been like. And if they do go to Oklahoma City, I know what that environment is going to be like. So there's a ton of enthusiasm for that I don't think baseball has been anywhere near in a long time. It's tough.
I'm always amazed when baseball even makes it to like the Big Ten championship game in Omaha. Like there's like 17, 18, 19, 20,000 people there. It's pretty incredible. So
even
is.
the semifinals or whatever when they played Penn State and I went on
I remember that.
Saturday last year. I mean, it felt like there was at least 16, 17,000 people that Saturday, maybe more.
Yeah.
to watch Nebraska shut down Penn State. So there's a definite interest if they make it to Omaha for baseball. There's no question about that.
I agree with you though, Schaefer. Hard to turn down a championship.
Yeah, that's probably where I lean.
Like winning the damn thing. It's one thing to just go to it. It's another thing to win it. You win it.
It would be, I think Nebraska baseball winning a College World Series as a, northern team would be a bigger athletic story than Nebraska basketball making a run to the Final Four.
Absolutely.
So, I don't think you pass up the championship is really what it comes down to.
Think about Michigan making the final a couple of years ago, changing a couple of years ago. It was a while ago now.
It feels like a couple of years
ago. It does feel like a couple of years ago. I think it was 2019.
Jordan Wanu.
They kind of changed the game a little bit.
They did.
They had an incredible run in Omaha in that Big Ten tournament, too. They had that doubleheader with Nebraska in the semifinals.
That year, I'm pretty sure, or within those years, like one of the guys that was one of their best pitchers I watched walk like 9 batters in 3 innings at Haymarket Park once. And so it's just like, how did that team do it? And yet they just came up big in like every clutch at bat.
They were, I'm pretty sure they were backs against the wall in the regional and the super regional.
Yeah,
too.
they were. They just continued to pull themselves out of the fire every time. It was really impressive as it happened.
Tough to turn down a championship.
Their coach is like
Clemson.
Yeah,
they're back at
that's what I thought.
And now he's got a lot of takes on a lot of different
things. He does have takes.
He has so many takes.
Yeah.
He wants to move college baseball to July or something like that. There's that. He feels like he has a platform now, and he's just saying stuff all the time, even though Clemson can't make it back to Omaha.
Ooh, take that back.
It's very weird. Very, very weird. All right, we will take a break and we will come back. Round up the hour. A few different things that we want to get to, but I'm glad we know where our allegiances lie as far as our playoffs are concerned. I got a couple emails that I want to get to as well. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. The Omaha food fight is nearly set. We just need a few more of your recommendations, your nominations. Please get those in before tonight, and we'll set up a bracket of Omaha's best and brightest, the Omaha Food Bracket presented by Union Bank and Trust. The bracket will open on Selection Sunday, so as many nominations as you get in, that would be good for us. Then we'll toss them all in the bracket, and you will be heading to 1620thezone.com over the next couple weeks to vote on which restaurant deserves a shot at the culinary crown. 1620thezone.com. That's the Omaha Food Fight presented by Union Bank and Trust. A text, one follow-up or two on the last topic there. It's from Gus Mohawk. I got to go with baseball winning in Omaha. It would be a magical few weeks in the summer during the dog days of sports. Also, if Lincoln were to host a super regional, give me that all day. Now, that is an interesting, hosting a super regional would be, that's peak stuff right there. Yeah. That's just about as good as it gets.
Yeah, no, I remember the Nebraska Miami super regional and
the
vibe around that, and just the way that if you were driving over the interstate, you'd look and you just all red.
Would you rather Nebraska host a super regional weekend or PBA host a couple rounds of the NCAA tournament?
Because I know Nebraska would be involved to be the super regional.
What about a regional?
Yeah, I would take the NCAA tournament, I think.
Yeah.
The regional would be fun. I've also experienced that. I've attended that. I guess I don't live in Lincoln anymore, so I don't really care that much. I live in a city where they do host
and are hosting again next year.
So, I guess I don't really know that I care whether Lincoln hosts regional games, or not regional, but
NCAA tournament games.
NCAA tournament games.
People seem to want
Nebraska wouldn't be able to play at it, so it wouldn't really matter to me.
That is true.
So then, I'd be in that spot where it's like, oh, hey, you could have tickets to this, or the team that you root for is playing at the same exact time.
There was a brief moment last year where we wondered, and this thought crosses your mind whenever, but we were on the road with Creighton in the baseball tournament last year, and it was like, okay, hang on, let's think about this real quick. What if Creighton makes the College World Series? Right, you're dreaming big. What would happen? Not only to Omaha, but to us on the operational side, where who would do the national radio broadcast for the College World Series? Who would do the local radio broadcast? Where would any of them go? That was a really funny thought for a second. And then it was, well, what if they hosted a super regional weekend? What if they hosted a super regional weekend, which is the week before the College World Series? Would that even be allowed? Would that even work? Would the NCAA get triggered and be like, no, you can't do that. We're setting up. We're moving in. This is our home now. Sorry, please leave.
So then you're just forced to not be able to host.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I never got. I don't think we ever got that far because they weren't beating Arkansas in the regional.
Sure.
But the the one on the other side won it too. I'm pretty sure, but. It was at least a thought that came through my head momentarily.
I'm trying to think of when Nebraska was playing Arkansas and they were going into that final game on Monday. The winner would have gotten NC State, which NC State pulverized Arkansas in that.
That's right.
In that series.
If Nebraska would have hosted,
won, would they have gone to Raleigh? Would they have hosted? Was there talk that they would play? It was also during COVID time, so
that's true.
I feel like there was talk that they play at a neutral site.
Famously, it was during COVID time because NC State had to leave.
Yeah,
the College World Series that year.
NC State right there up on the door.
There they are
from that year.
That could be from that year.
I think that's the only year they made the CWS in the last.
No, they were in it 2 years ago or so.
So it could be more recent
than that. NC State. Let me take a look at what seed they were that year. They were a 2.
And Nebraska was a 2.
They were a 2 in the Louisiana Tech Regional. No, NC State didn't win that. They did. Oh, yeah. Arkansas won the first game by $1 billion.
Yeah, but then NC State won the next 2.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
Didn't they crush them in one of them?
No, Arkansas won the one by $1 billion.
Okay.
They 21-2 or whatever it was, and then NC State came back and won a couple close games.
For some reason, I thought they won like an 18-4.
I don't know how that would have worked / how they do that. I don't know if it's a
I
couple
remember it
twos.
being like a very topical conversation because Nebraska was on the precipice of if they win that game, who knows? So
let's play a quick game of
they did not.
What is the Big Ten trying to say? Here is Tony Petitti and friends from the Big Ten Conference. The Big Ten sent a letter to the NCAA this week asking the organization to put a halt to, quote, investigations and infractions proceedings related to tampering, according to a copy of the letter obtained by ESPN. The letter states that the current framework of tampering rules, quote, cannot be credibly or equitably enforced, pointing out the rules for tampering were designed before a modern era that includes paying athletes and essentially unlimited transfers. Quote, these rules were not designed for a world in which student athletes are compensated market participants making annual decisions with significant economic consequences. The collision between the old rules and new reality is producing outcomes that harm the population that the rules were designed to protect, which in theory I agree with. Like the Big Ten is right. We're living in an absurd world right now. It feels a little odd to say to pick and choose who gets punished and for what.
Right.
At this point.
Which is a fair, valid criticism of the NCAA for a while now.
But you never want to be the person to be like, hey, look, man, that you get pulled over on the interstate. He's like, I was going 80, but everybody else was going 86.
Rate of speed.
How did you get me?
Yeah.
You know, like you just don't want to be that guy. And the Big Ten obviously has no shame. So they're just like, yeah, come on.
You're right.
You have to stop all punishments. We want to live in the purge. That's what the Big Ten is saying.
Yeah, I don't understand exactly what the point of this is. Like, it feels like there's an ulterior motive beyond just sending this letter.
It's possible. It's also possible there's not. I mean, like, they could be like, look, man, it feels really weird to be punishing people for anything right now.
Yeah.
And that's my only point.
Well, and so it goes on, and there's another part of this where the letter argues the NCAA must change. The system of college sports is under tremendous stress, both internally and externally. Systems adapt or they break. And so it's basically stating that with the courts getting involved in all of these things, the NCAA has to update and change the methods of which they use, or effectively the courts are going to dismantle everything that they have in a framework anyways. And so it's like, if you want to protect this thing, you have to change and adapt, or if you continue to hold, serve, eventually the courts are going to break and smash this all to a million pieces, and there's no way to put it back together.
We are committed to engaging in an expeditious process to develop a modern framework for contact rules that addresses the varied challenges and opportunities of the current collegiate landscape. The letter shows portal numbers from this year, the first football season with just one portal period, that have not appeared publicly. That includes 1,000 football players who entered the portal on January 2nd and took campus visits the same weekend. More than 300 had signed with the new school by the end of the weekend. Some signed as quickly as 90 minutes into the portal opening, and others had a do not contact designation that essentially couldn't exist without some type of fact finding to determine a new destination. They're talking about tampering, obviously, which once again, I understand I don't understand why they're the ones to say it, right? It's coming from sort of like a weird source.
Yeah.
The Big Ten, but the
it
point of
possible?
it is okay. It's like, look, man, everybody can see what's happening here when guys go into the transfer portal with do not contact tags.
Yeah.
Why do we need to say it out loud? Why do we need to say, oh, they're tampering? Because there was a couple stories that really got out of hand. The Ole Miss Clemson thing this year. Yeah, right.
Certainly that.
Yeah.
The other thing of this is that the SEC is on the opposite side of it, where Sankey wants tampering sought out and punished with swift and harsh punishment, which is hilarious given who he.
Now that is a previously stated position, right?
I think it came out again even after the Pete Golding thing.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of like, well, what are you? One of your member institutions is the most visible right now.
Let me know if you think there's anything here.
You have the whole Damon Williams while sitting courtside with Sam Levitt for LSU.
Let me know if you think there's anything here. The Big Ten, it feels like, is always just purposefully saying the opposite things that the SEC is saying.
No, I think that's a part of this whole. Like, it's like, oh, you're taking this position. You think the sky is blue? I think it's clear.
Yeah. You want to crack down on tampering, something that everyone wants. We'll say no, never crack down on tampering.
We'll say it's happening anyways.
We prefer
so
a lawless
why bother?
society.
You want 16 teams? We want 24.
Yeah, I know. That's what it feels like right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Tony Petitti, so I don't have any support to throw behind it.
What will come of this? Literally nothing. The Big Ten argues the dearth of tampering cases in a time when thousands of athletes are transferring every year proves that consistent, equitable enforcement is no longer achievable under NCAA rules, and it's hard to disagree. All right, we will take a break. 7 o'clock hour. There is plenty to come on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, one of the best couple days of the year. Conference tournaments starting to really get in full swing before the weekend. Don't forget, Creighton and Seton Hall today. You will hear the local broadcast on your home of the Blue Jays, 1620 The Zone, starting at 1:30 from Madison Square Garden today. Pregame will take over at 1 o'clock from MSG. Maybe John will have to do a little filibustering extended pregame because there is a game before
Probably.
between St. John's and Providence, and who knows how long it might take.
There might be a fight in that game.
There
like
might be a
we
fight
saw
in that
last time
game.
around.
There could be. There very well could be. It's the Big East tournament. You can't hold anything back now. So make sure to join us today at 1:30 for that. Other conference tournaments begin. The first conference tournament game that we have today begins at 10, featuring our dear friends from Miami of Ohio, a.k.a. Miami University, taking on UMass in the MAC quarterfinal.
That's on ESPN Plus. You could probably throw it on the TV.
It is on ESPN Plus. Yeah, we might have to have it on during the crossover.
Yeah, I think we should.
The first
just put it on for live sports.
So the first Big East game is Providence St. John's at 11. The first Big Ten game is Iowa Ohio State at 11, which everybody has moved off of. Well, not everybody. The Big Ten has moved off of Peacock at this point and over to BTN, which is hilarious. Tickets for as low as $4.
Wow.
Today at the United Center. And the Big 12 restarts at 11:30 today with Texas Tech against the home team, Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State always takes over.
That's a big game in like if you want Nebraska to make Oklahoma City, because if Iowa State wins,
is this on the what you're watching for bracket?
I think it would be. Like, it keeps Texas Tech from potentially jumping Nebraska seed line wise, going from a 4 to a 3, because they'd add another quality win, all of that stuff. So I think if you care about this at all, you're probably rooting for Iowa State.
Whoa. I'm always rooting for Iowa State no matter what.
Yeah, you're an Iowa State guy.
They have had some success in this tournament over the years and then lack of success in the NCAA tournament.
Honk, honk.
Maybe this year it could be reversed. Maybe they'll lose to Texas Tech today and then be a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament and start ripping off some wins.
I don't think they're going to be a 2 seed, right? Like,
are they not a 2 anymore?
I think they're the number 1-3 seed at this point in time.
Yeah, they're right on the line.
You would think.
So
if they
push
lose.
it over.
Would you think Iowa State would go to St. Louis over OKC, since that's another first round site? Because that's closer.
St.
for
Louis
them.
is the one that's projected for Iowa State, and so it's not so much about Iowa State.
Yeah,
St.
remember,
Louis.
it's not about the 3s and the 2s as much as it is about the about the ones and where they.
I don't think there's a difference really between being a 2 and a 3. Like, I just don't consider.
There's really not.
You'll hear people ask, like, "Oh, can Nebraska get to a 2 if they win the Big Ten?"
It's like, why do you care?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like if they win Friday, they're fully safe of pretty much everything, likely going to Oklahoma City, and then at that point, it's just a matter of where you'd stick them region.
Think about it. It might be a little bit tougher in the first round, in the round of 64. Like 14s are, 14s are historically obviously
better than 15s,
more likely to pull off upsets than 15s over a long period of time. And I think there is some buzz about this particular group of mid-majors who are winning conference tournaments and stuff like that. So you never know there.
You saw the tweet we got last night, right?
Oh, about how they're betting on Kalshi that that a 14 is going to beat a 3 this year.
Which isn't that
we got McMaster on the board.
What did he say?
Is McMaster running Kalshi?
Yes,
probably.
He said a 14 was going to. There you go.
Yeah.
14 is going to beat a 3 this year. What if a 15?
And then it's like one of them was basically whoever Troy gets, I'm taking Troy. So and then we get a lot of Troy Nebraska matchups.
What if it's GBR?
What if?
I saw one that had I saw one an Iowa State fan was excited yesterday by. It was Iowa State Troy, and then it was like the 6-11 was like Miami, Ohio, and whatever, whoever
St. Mary's or something.
Yeah, I think it actually was St. Mary's. And I was like, listen, Iowa State fan, you might lose in the first round, but then you're probably going to go to the Sweet 16 if you get past it. Same story for Nebraska. I think it was Louisville. It was it was Louisville and Miami of Ohio, or something like that.
Yeah, but that's fair.
So big day for conference tournaments. The SEC, which is, according to nobody, a great conference basketball tournament. they will put Kentucky and Missouri up against all of those things going on today. The ACC at 11 will have NC State and Virginia. We'll have more on college basketball later because it does feel like a lot of the bubble teams, met their demise yesterday. But if everybody meets their demise at the same time, then could you make the argument that nobody actually met their demise? Maybe the bubble just moves down, down and down.
The bubble just expands is what it does. Suddenly Oklahoma's in the bubble.
They're saying that this is a weak year for the bubble. All right, let's play another game of hype or hope. Let's recap what hype or hope means.
Yeah. So, all right, because there was some confusion yesterday, mostly because this wasn't an incredibly well thought out process.
I love it.
Here's what we have. We are determining if you believe in spring storylines, more or less, or what we're hearing from over there, whether it be from the media, whether it be from the coaches or the players themselves. If you buy what they are saying, it gives you hope for 2026.
Okay.
If you're like, nah, I don't trust it, feels made up, or I don't really think this is ultimately going to matter when they play Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon, that's just hype.
You're Leonardo DiCaprio on the couch pointing and saying, that's hype.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Got it. Very clear. Yesterday, to recap, I thought that we did the offensive line, which I have hope.
Yep. We were the same on both of these.
But it's not because of Tree Babalade and Paul Mabenga. It's because of the returners. And the other one we did was quarterback, right?
Yeah. And effectively there, it was just like how much Dana Holgorsen talking about his ability to extend plays and the most mobile quarterback he's had. Do we think that really ultimately matters?
I think it does. As we said yesterday, I think it does, but it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be good.
Right.
So I don't know where that plays.
I don't think it's that big of a ceiling raiser for their offense overall.
I think that's kind of where we ended up. Yeah. So where are we going today?
Let's start at wide receiver.
Yes, this was the talk of yesterday. Quasi Gilmer was chatting about the weather, which is great. It was a great interview.
He is very, very funny. I enjoyed his appearance yesterday. He's become like a very talked about thing. And it was interesting because I wrote this question for yesterday's show before he even spoke last night. And it feels like it feels this works even more effectively. Quasi Gilmer, who there's been a lot of conversation about, we've heard that
quietly one of their best portal ads.
Yeah. You wouldn't have thought that if you were going through the list in the end of January. He might have been more middle of the pack because you weren't thinking wide receiver is as big of a deal as
that was it. It was mostly about the rest of the position.
It's not that he isn't good. It's just that positional value wise, it didn't meet what some of the other guys were.
I agreed.
So all of that said, as it relates to Quasi Gilmer, do you think, and here's how I wrote it out. Honestly, it's been mostly quiet, but there's quite a bit of positive chatter about Quasi Gilmer. Could Gilmer be a difference maker for Nebraska? Do you think this would be hype or hope? Because if, you go back to Sam talking about yesterday, physically, he looks different than a lot of the wide receivers. There's some real discussion about just overall, like what he's brought in from a work standpoint, that this is a guy that's a veteran that's come in. And so I guess I asked this to say, when he initially came to Nebraska, my mindset was like, okay, this is, a nice another outside wide receiver, could be the second or third wide receiver, depending on how some of these guys play. Do you think there's a world where he could be the overall number one receiver for Nebraska at the end of the year, whether it's targets, whether it's receptions, yards?
Yeah, I think that world exists, although I wouldn't necessarily depend on it. And I'm quietly buying here. I'm buying here. I don't think, I'm not super over the moon about what it's going to look like it's not really even a revamped room, but you get Hunter and Barney back. There's things that excite me about both of them, although I'm not super enthused by how Barney was last year. But I think at the very least he's dependable. I want to see more of the explosiveness that I thought we were going to get with Ja'Cory Barney in the first place and that we were getting his freshman year. I am excited about Gilmer. I think he adds a dynamic piece to the room that, I thought was going to be mostly Barney's responsibility. And I do think Gilmer has this kind of like unique go get him type of playmaking ability that is going to be really important with Calandria. So this is hope for me.
Yeah.
I am excited about the position. I'm definitely excited about Gilmer. I don't know where that ultimately lands with those three in the room. I guess I still tend to think that Hunter is going to be kind of the A guy in that room, but the more each of them are good, the more it opens up opportunities for everybody else.
Right. And so, like, if he can be a difference maker, it could also just be like, if this is a guy that has 700 yards and 6 touchdowns, like, that's better than what you're getting out of your number 2 wide receiver almost every year. And so for Nebraska, that could go a long way. For me, this is definitely hope, but it goes beyond just Gilmer. Like, I'm ready to do it again. I was here a couple years ago. Last year, I told myself, don't buy any of it.
Don't do it.
I overcorrected from the previous year where I was all the way in on the wide receivers. It is an even year again. I'm all the way in on the wide receivers. I think this room is tremendously stocked with talent. Like, I am excited about a lot of these guys.
Tremendously stocked with talent.
Yeah. Like, I mean, your top 3 basically being Hunter, Gilmer, and Barney, in whatever order you want it to be. I believe in all of those guys and their ability to be playmaking wide receivers. Beyond that, I love what they have depth-wise right behind him with Quinn Clark and with Cortez Mills. I mean, those are really interesting wide receivers to have in their second and third years in the program.
And Keelan Smith.
Keelan Smith.
Nayland Scott. People are talking about Nayland Scott every day.
Sam was talking about him physically, just like how different he looks. And then Nayland Scott looks like that physically. Larry Miles was a guy who just caught everything thrown to him in high school. Like, he has a lot of this sort of, under-recruited slot wide receiver that makes good vibe to him. And he's a very hardworking guy. There's a lot of kind of Ja'Cory Barney in there where I think he's very excited to get out of Florida and be somewhere different. And, is, from what I understand, has connected really well with just being at Nebraska. So I'm pretty enthusiastic about all of that. And then, they'll get Janiron Bonner back. I think there's a world where you can view Carter Nelson more as a wide receiver than as a tight end, so you can utilize him in that regard. If we're doing pass catching as a whole, I like Lindenmeyer a lot. I liked what I saw last year. I felt like they could have utilized him more down the stretch.
I don't know what to do with Carter Nelson. I don't.
Yeah.
It's
a big question mark.
If there's a world where that ever works out, that's great.
Yeah.
But I'm not currently counting on it.
No, I wouldn't say that you have to count on it.
Yeah.
Like, that's
that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of guys.
He's not going to be the number 1 tight end, so it's like, can you find ways to utilize that size in the red zone? Like, that's what I want them to be able to do with a Carter Nelson. And so, unfortunately, I think he's out again this spring. Is that the?
I believe that's what Rule said a couple of weeks ago.
So, I mean, I think he was on that list of guys that aren't practicing, but that wide receiver room, I am very intrigued by a lot of that. Throw in a quarterback where, frankly, when we talk about boom or bust, like, you give him a bunch of these wide receivers, and if he's extending plays, guys are getting open. Like, I believe in their athleticism.
Should open up playmaking possibilities for
basically
those guys.
There should be more unscheduled explosive plays than last year's almost 0 unscheduled.
But in order to do that, you got to be on the same page. That takes time and all
no
those
doubt about
things.
it.
But yeah, I'm bullish for sure. I don't know if I'm chugging as heavily as you are.
Yeah, and this is a me thing. Like, I like 2024 was all in on the wide receivers, and it was pretty meh. Last year was like, I don't want to believe in any of them. And I think I was mostly kind of came out.
Those guys got to get open, man.
Hunter was good. Some of it was the utilization. Some of it was the construct of the routes. Some of it was Dylan Raiola being unwilling to give people opportunities to make plays. So there's just a lot of things that went into it. This year, I'm back in. I just think the talent of the room is so good.
It's interesting to hear that the from Holgerson, like, they're making plays and running back around and getting open after stuff breaks down.
I loved his use of his hand motion.
Which we can all see it, right? Yeah. Which is,
I knew exactly what he meant, but I love the
It's the exact opposite of what I would have thought just looking at the group as a whole last year when they weren't fighting through contact and weren't getting open on normal stuff and I
couldn't turn the 3-yard drag that everybody turns into a 12-yard gain into the 12 first down.
And then the quarterback wouldn't throw it half the time either. And so it was just a dull and slow wide receiver room last year that wasn't physical enough to get open. And now, in theory, you just you spread things out a little bit for them and you're able to get them more room to make plays. it's hard for me to see it flipping completely 180 as they talk about it. But I'm definitely excited about the pieces that they have.
Again, if you think there's like an ability for them to sort of go off offensively, I think it has to be in the passing game, and these wide receivers would be a big part of it.
Yes, we'll talk about the running backs here at some point over the next couple of days. Let's take a phone call on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Here's Greg in Michigan. Good morning, Greg.
Morning, guys. I'm just driving, listening to y'all, and I just cannot get into any of this hype. Been a fan since '78, and I am not buying any of it. The Hogerson not even claiming he has a system of any sort. I'm just going to wait and see. Come on. And these receivers, great. They might be able to get open. And Calandria is going to get snapped in half like Barney did against Cincinnati. I'm just not buying that. I can't get excited anymore. And I used to, watch every word they would say, and it's just like, I'm so over it.
Greg, I get it. I really do. Like,
Definitely.
I don't blame you at this point. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Like, we're not here to excite you.
Yeah.
Like we are not here to tell you about how good they're going to be.
There's a reason something as stupid as hype or hope even exists.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of hope. And, there's been a lot of conversation about how much hype there is.
It is totally up to you all if you want to consume whatever it is they're putting out there. Like we have gotten a lot over the last couple of days of like, yeah, this is great that the wide receivers are open, but have you seen their handshakes and stuff like that? People are already mad at the handshake thing, which is not a big, like, guys, everybody has always had handshakes. Like, this is not a big deal. It just got talked about one time. So once again, you have always had the ability to pick and choose what you consume and what you're buying into. If the previous version of yourself would have been excited about guys doing handshakes with each other, and now you're less excited, that's on you, right? Like that's just the way you consume football. I don't consume football that way because I don't care if they have good handshakes or not. And I didn't care if they were going to be 12-2 and they had cool handshakes. I also didn't care then. Yeah. I definitely don't care now.
I don't even care if they choose to shake the hand of their opponents before they play a game. That's how little I care about the handshake.
I want to shake your hand.
Now that is different for most people. Many people have takes about that.
Yeah,
so.
that has almost the same amount of relevancy as the handshakes amongst wide receivers and quarterbacks.
Ray B writes in, but a different handshake for every player. Incredible. Look, guys, once again, you watch the stuff that you watch. Nobody is trying to convince you that the handshakes are the best thing ever. Nobody is trying to convince you that the handshakes are going to make Nebraska go 10-2 this year. Nobody is saying that. They're just handshaking, okay?
Is this a literal moment that we know how far Nebraska has fallen? We're talking about handshakes.
People want to talk about the handshakes. They're mad about the handshake because they're mad about them.
I don't know why they want to talk about them or be mad about them.
So we can talk about this when we come back here, because Rule was he said it out loud yesterday of like, hey, we're toned down and we're just going to work, which I find it kind of interesting that he said it out loud. Everybody already noticed it.
Sure.
But he was like, no, we're purposefully doing this. We are purposefully.
In case you didn't know that we were being subtle.
Yeah.
Now
have you heard the news? I'm being quiet. That's basically what he's saying
while screaming
it out loud. So we could talk about that a little bit in the quiet nature of which they've gone about things. Some people are saying that they're not very quiet because they see the handshakes and they say, hey, I don't like when they do that. They went 5-7 last, or they went 6. Yeah, they went what 7-5 last year.
Yeah,
they can't handshake. Not allowed. Here's Sam on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed, going to Morse code the show and say I've been a fan since 1904.
Nice,
wonderful. You get all sorts of different hand motions and stuff like that. Some people call in and they say how long they've been fans, and then they say whether or not they like handshakes. I don't blame Greg in Michigan for not being excited.
I think it's a perfectly
Yeah.
normal thing to not be excited about your college football team on March 11th
It's
or 12th.
truly okay.
Like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
No one should make
Nobody's
you feel
trying
bad
to
about that
convince
either.
you that
Yeah.
this is going to be good, but it's going on, and people do care about the football team, and so we figured it's nice to share the information with you. Let's take a break. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. A reminder to get your opinions in for I Have an Opinion coming up at 8 o'clock. It's very simple. Just have an opinion, which you do.
Potentially about handshakes.
Potentially about
Apparently.
handshakes, potentially about how little you care about Nebraska football right now. All the above, whatever it might be. Send them our way, 402-951-1620, or on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. And you know what? You know what we'll do today, Joey? People who send in opinions, we'll select out a winner, whether it's from the text line or from Twitter, and we'll give them some Supernovas tickets for Saturday.
Perfect. We could definitely do that.
How does that sound? Supernovas
perfect.
against Indianapolis Saturday at 7. If you'd like to go, there is an easy way to do so right now. Just have an opinion and tweet it at us at @HappenShafe. All right, let's go back to not caring, right? This is where we're at right now. People are like, I don't care, and they're mad about handshakes. John writes in on the text line. He says, people are mad about the handshakes because they are sick and tired of a team and a coach. They're all talking no substance. No one truly gives a bleep about the handshakes, but they don't want to see them. They don't want to see them or hear about them, just like they don't want to see or hear Rule. And telling people you are being low key on purpose is not being low key. People don't hate this guy enough. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff in there.
There really is
a lot of stuff in there from John. They don't want to see the handshakes. You are right, because they don't think the team is very good right now. Like, that's pretty normal practice, right? People are annoyed by the fact that they're not good at football, and therefore are annoyed by everything.
It's kind of simple though. Like, if I didn't want to see the handshakes, and here's something that might be a little bit of a surprise for people. Right. I haven't ever seen them. You know why? I've never clicked on the videos where there's handshakes that are going to be in them. So some of it is.
But what if your whole timeline is just handshake, 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 handshake?
Then cultivate a better timeline. You're in charge of that.
That is true, Schaefer. Great point. Thank
If you don't want to see something, don't click on the link that then gives you the thing that you didn't want to see. But this is the whole, like, when you were talking about you're in control of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is you as a fan. Like, if I don't want to read about it, I don't read about it.
So John's right. They're not actually mad at the handshakes. They're not mad about seeing the handshakes. They're just mad at the program in general.
So be mad about the program.
And this is where we get into yesterday, because Rule, spoke, and he was very, very toned down. He talked for a while, but he was very, very, toned down. And then at one point he said during his media appearance, like, hey, we are toned down, like, on purpose. We're just which you don't need to say that.
If you would have done,
like, everyone already noticed that they're toned down. Okay.
He does like the anti-spinal tap where it's like, this one goes to 4. That would have been
goes
amazing.
to 4.
Like, everyone can see that they're not trying to be very loud and boisterous about. I mean, even down to there wasn't any music at practice.
What?
Yeah, they're not playing super loud music anymore.
That would be like almost disorienting.
That's what people were saying when they walked into practice the other day. It was like, it was quiet. The team is small, like, literally they don't have as many people on the team anymore. And
which would be very noticeable from the bloated 160 people era.
Both good things, in my opinion. And
I don't know if the music matters.
yeah,
but
actually, I don't care.
Definitely agree having a more condensed roster where there's a greater chance of people knowing each other on the team.
And Rule was like, we're going to come out. I believe the word he used yesterday was industrious. We're just going to come out. We're going to go to work, and that's it. Now, to be fair, and this goes back to one of the things that John said, you probably don't need to draw attention to the fact that you are being quiet. Look, everybody, I'm being quiet.
Would you like ask specifically about it though?
I believe so.
So some of it is like, when you get asked about it, the door is at least open. If he just walked up to the podium and was like, no one's being more quiet than we are.
Listen up, everybody. Look at how quiet we are right now.
He's like, listen up, and then he just stops talking. That's how quiet we are.
Do you hear that? That silence.
That's us.
That silence is deafening.
We're operating in the shadow.
Do you see how industrious I'm being right now?
Yeah.
But no, like, and so you hear and he also mentioned something about just kind of offhand, something about Rob Orich when he was up there the other day, and he was asked sort of who's standing out and stuff like that. And Orich was sort of afraid to give an answer, but then ultimately did. He was like, I'm not sure if I should say, but then here are some people that are kind of standing out right now. Or here's some people that are jumping to the front of the line. And then Rule mentioned like, Rob's got to be careful about the stuff that he says in this market and stuff like that, because he knows that people are going to jump all over. And I'm like, all right, it's really okay. He's so beaten up from the last couple of years, and about he's probably a little bit guilty of hyping things up a little bit too much. But I also think that Rule would just, say what he felt about where they were headed and how they were performing in practice and stuff like that. And now he's just like gun shy to do so, which I don't know if that's more helpful than just quote unquote being quiet. Once again, I continue to feel like he is thinking about this too much, which sort of bothers me in a way. I don't mind the fact that they're being quiet, I don't mind the fact that they're not, they're whatever that means, all the things that that encapsulates. I don't mind that. I think that's fine. That's great. Go about your work. It's spring ball. That's what it's there for anyway. But I continue with almost every appearance that he makes to be concerned that he's worried about the wrong stuff and he thinks too much about the stuff that doesn't really matter. Which I don't know. It's hard to tell if that takes away from his actual football stuff, because he's a grinder and he's a worker and he's always always in there, and he's always thinking about this stuff. I don't think it takes away from that necessarily. I just get weirded out sometimes at how much he seems to change his attitude based on the way the wind blows. Like that sort of bothers me. Well, I wish he were more consistent like I thought he was when he got here.
I think some of that is basically he's trying to figure out what tone he needs to take.
Why though?
And some of it to me,
who cares about what the media says? Who cares about what the fan base says?
Some of it to me is like, it doesn't matter if he tries to take a quiet approach to the spring, and it doesn't matter if he tries or doesn't try to elevate a player by talking about him in the media or share his thoughts on this, because even if there's a vacuum of that information, the Nebraska media sphere is big enough where we fill the vacuum ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily have to have him get up and talk about Quasi Gilmer for me to have already written the question that I had, because like, there's enough other ways that information comes out. There's enough other things that get said, or
if he really wanted to quote unquote be quiet, if he really wanted to go under the radar, he wouldn't have had a 30-minute open period yesterday.
Right.
Because he knows
they dialed some of that down because they hadn't had one until that point.
Yeah.
And so, whether that's a good thing or not.
And I know
speak to it.
The media can't have it both ways either. Like this is also probably a media thing, because if he doesn't have a 20-minute open period during spring ball, people will be like, hey, why don't we go to the Oxos and stuff like that? But at the same time, he's dealing with this thing over here and saying, I want to be quiet and I want to be toned down. And that can't happen if you have a 30-minute open period where there's 400 cameras in there doing videos of handshakes. Yeah. Like, it can't happen,
I think that it can be. I definitely disagree with that. I think you can open things up to where you allow people to see your program without also feeling the need to be raw. Everything is going particularly well. I'm going to talk about how great this all is.
But what happens?
You can marry these things together.
But what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I know what happens because I've lived it. Like I've experienced it as closely as anybody possibly could. And I know full well what it's like to go over there the first day of spring practice and then know exactly how people are going to react to what is happening over there.
Correct.
And that's just,
and that's not their fault.
No, that's just part of what this is. But that's also where it's like, that's on how people choose to receive the information as much as it is anything else. You know how all of this works. You know that when the things open up, people are going to go give their commentary on what a player looks like that they've never seen before.
You either go one way.
Whether that matters to you or not is entirely a you decision.
In my opinion, you either go one way or the other. like as far as the media is concerned, you either shut it down and have very limited access, which obviously the media will have issues with, or you do so much availability and so much access that less people show up on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's an option for them as well. It's very, very open. It's very, very transparent. But I do think that would happen if there wasn't a constant thirst for it. And if you did it every day, there wouldn't be.
And I totally understand why people would view this as self-serving, because I know full well what my job is and what our job is and everything else. I think in a place like Nebraska, where the interest is as high as it's going to be anywhere else, you lean towards opening it up. You lean towards making things available, because this is a very public team in a way that it's not at any of the other places that he has ever coached. There is things that people care about here, like handshakes, that they will not care about anywhere
No, but
else.
I don't care about handshakes.
So I mean,
yeah, I'm with you.
If you shut it down, that's only going to create a different sort of scenario,
I
which
agree.
then everything becomes a rumor, everything becomes larger than it needs to be.
I agree.
Part of why he was a giant breath of fresh air when he first came here is that he would just openly talk about things that had happened at practice, whereas like Scott Frost was concerned to tell you that anything happened to anyone ever at any point in time, even though there's already updates on social media that so-and-so just had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And he might be a game time decision. Oh, really? Because I don't think he's going to be walking anytime soon. So like the transparency there, I think, has been good. And I don't think he's trying to take that away. I think he's trying to meet people when they say like, hey, I don't need to hear about this. He's like, okay, fine. We don't have to do this as much. And so that's sort of, on you. I look at it more as this is a very public team with interest all the time. We're talking about spring football.
I know.
There's nothing that's going to be at the end of this month that is ultimately going to affect how things go next fall, barring some catastrophic injury run.
Not really.
So, the fact that there's this much interest, I think you play into it. And that's what he did initially. That's why he's done all of the sort of things that he has. But
now he's in this kind of wishy-washy, inconsistent,
because I think he wants to please. And
I know. And he
that
should
shouldn't
stop
be as big of a
wanting to
concern.
please everyone.
Right. So to please us, stop pleasing us.
I would say that. I don't care if you shuts it
A lot of
down.
Don't think about us at all.
Great. That would be it. That's excellent advice
So-
as far as I'm concerned.
And
that goes
which
back
is
to
weird again to say. Well, it's also like continue to be, open and transparent.
That goes back to my original point. Like I just
Right.
think, there's
The
concern
thoughts
for
are
me.
in the emphasis could be in the wrong places. Yeah.
Correct.
No, I
That's
don't
just
think
sort of
you're
where I'm
wrong in that assumption or that hypothesis.
Let's take a quick phone call here before we get to the headlines. Here's Matt on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Hi, Matt. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Good.
So just talk a little bit about Rule. I think you guys are right. He's just a guy who talks, and he talks a lot, and he does appear to be very much in tune with what's being said about him, about the program on a day-to-day basis, and he feels like he needs to respond, and he's just a person who's like that, and all of that would be fine except for the football record, right? I think the fans would put up with an awful lot more of it and maybe be a little less disinterested right now if the football part actually got better. And now, to his credit, he said the football part needs to get better. However, he said exactly the same thing last spring.
Mm-hmm.
Last spring, he was talking about how the football needs to get better. And he hired coaches and he tried different things. And lo and behold, the football was not better. And so I think what you're seeing in him is a real insecurity in whether or not he can actually make the football get better. And I think that's playing out in how he's at every press conference and just trying to, like you guys said, please everybody here and there. And I think you're right. He just needs to take a deep breath, settle down, and really focus on the football. Or to tell you the truth, what I think he needs to do is allow the coaches who are actually good at football and then maybe back off on the backwards hat. I'm going to dive in. I'm going to do everything and try and make us believe he's some great detailed football coach when if he were, he would have been hiring great position coaches all along.
Yeah.
So I think he just needs to back up and be, hey, I'm a CEO. I'm going to be the CEO. I'm going to let the football guys talk. And hopefully
winds will play out, and that will allow him to be a lot more comfortable in his seat. But what he's really feeling, I think, is the pressure. I think if you back up and say he's a CEO kind of coach, well, CEOs have a board of directors, right? For rule, the board of directors are the boosters and the fans, and the fans freaking emptied the stadium in the fourth quarter against Iowa last year. And I think that is the lasting memory for him, and it's really got him shook. And it should have him shook because it shows him that his honeymoon is over. But what he needs to do is just relax, bear down, let the football guys do the football work, and just stop talking about so much crap under the sun. That's what I think.
Yeah, Matt. We appreciate the call. Thanks,
Great call,
thanks
Matt.
for it. Yeah, I mean, he's a control freak. He's a micromanager.
Here's the
Like,
thing,
you
though.
know, like he's always going to care about what people think, and he's always going to care about his image, and he's always going to care about the football too. Like I think he equally cares about all those things.
I think Matt said something, though, that illustrates how hard it is to win, not necessarily the football game, but to win the court of public perception. Because if the idea is let the football guys go do football, and he did that in one very specific example last year with Mike Eckler, where he didn't sit in on the position rooms. He gave him full autonomy to do whatever the hell he wanted with special teams in a way that, exactly as Matt wanted him to do. Like, let the football guy go do football. And what did Mike Eckler say when he was up in front of the press for the first time at USC?
He didn't sit in my room.
It's nice to have a coach that sits in the position rooms with us.
That was weird.
And then you have the fan base like, Matt Rule doesn't care about special teams. This is proof of it.
Yeah. He probably feels like he can't win. Now, once again, to get back to Matt's, the bottom line here is he probably feels like he can't win because he can't actually win.
Well,
like,
that's that's the part where it's like, all right,
yeah.
If you want people on your side, you got to win more football games. I will say, like, there is another part of this where I think he's hamstrung by the fact that they are clearly better than they have been, but they haven't shown the ability to sort of break through this kind of like very mediocre team that they've been.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel like this year is the breakthrough going to happen either.
We'll have more on that, but good conversation. Thanks for your calls. I appreciate them. We'll come back with the headlines quickly before I have an opinion. Make sure you get those in 402-951-1620. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, don't forget, I have an opinion coming up in just a couple minutes. Get those opinions in, and you'll have a chance to win a couple tickets to the Supernovas game on Saturday nights. Let's quickly hit the headlines before we hit the opinions. Joey, what do we got today?
First headline, 40 cows loose in Virginia after livestock hauler crash.
Okay, 40 cows loose in Virginia after livestock hauler crash.
I didn't add in how Joey would read it. As,
I know.
my enjoyment of it.
Pretty exciting.
40 cows. 40
There's no way
cows.
he says 40 cows loose.
40 cows. All right, what's
All right,
headline
next
two?
headline.
Okay, brothers smash record that stood for over a decade with amazing puzzle cube solving robot.
Robot.
Yeah, I vote robot as well. All right, let's go to the puzzle solving robot. A pair of brothers with passion for robotics and computing combined their skills to break a record that had stood for more than a decade. Matthew and Thomas Pidden, both from the UK, designed and built a robot that solved the puzzle cube in 45 seconds. 45 seconds. A puzzle cube, they mean a Rubik's cube, I'm
Rubik's
sure.
Cube.
Oh, they don't call it that.
Demonstrating their
Across the pond.
miraculous machine at the University of Bristol on May 12, 2025. They smashed the record for the fastest robot to solve a 4x4x4 puzzle cube. They absolutely obliterated the previous record of a minute and 18 seconds that was set over 10 years ago in 2014. Matthew told GuinnessWorldRecords.com, quote, "I decided to break the record as part of my undergraduate final project. I've always enjoyed Rubik's Cubes as a child in computer science. Combining the two felt like a natural progression and a great project." He did this for his undergrad final, which is great, and then just happened to break he decided he was going to break the world record with his capstone final.
Yeah, I hope that no one
Great
from
job
the,
by
the
him.
journalism college is listening, but I don't think that I accomplished anything.
What did you do in your
I
capstone
don't even
final?
know what my capstone anything was. You had to put together a portfolio, and I mean that's basically what I did. I had a portfolio.
We
Like,
had to
that
just
was
do
it.
a newscast or
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, that was my capstone class, but our final project for that was just compiling all the stuff we did into a website. I think my website's still somewhere.
Mine was like a physical portfolio because I was graduating at the time of which, the journalism college was having to transition from the idea that journalism was a print industry to a digital industry.
Yeah, weird time.
And so, you'd have all these professors that never worked when the internet was a thing.
I'm always so
Or-
jealous. I tell this every time I go talk to any sort of class about how many opportunities there are to broadcast stuff like mildly professionally these days, whether it be in high school or at the college level. I mean, it's amazing.
It is kind of wild to think about a younger version of you that's just like, I'm going to start my own broadcasting high school website.
I would have loved to broadcast the Central basketball games. I would have been all over that. I would have been incredulous.
I like the idea, though, only if you were also sitting on the bench broadcasting.
Prep, you suck. Bellevue West, you suck. Refs, you suck. One-eyed Pat Driscoll. I would have been pre-John Bishop before John Bishop.
Horse crap call.
It would have been amazing. I'd have been yelling at Lincoln Southeast and Norfolk and everybody.
Garbage.
We should go through those results in the state basketball at some point on today's show.
We should.
There was quite some games early.
Well, we had near an upset of the top seed
upset.
yesterday.
Almost massive upset.
Didn't end up happening. All right, those are the headlines. We will step out of the way and make way for you. Your opinions, that is, 402-951-1620 or Twitter at @HappenSchafe. It's time for I Have an Opinion. Coming back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, Thursday morning, 8:00. We're training the audience because right now you should be prepared to have opinions. I have an opinion is coming your way. I also wanted to take this time to mention another thing that we're planning. So occasionally, it's happened a couple times, right, Schaefer, where people have hit us up and they've said, hey, I'm driving right now, or this person is listening.
Yeah.
Can I get a shout out? And we're like, I mean, come on, this is a 4-hour show. We're here, we're live. Well, why not? We'll give shout outs.
We love to give shout outs.
So we figured that we would take all of the shout out requests that we get throughout a week and what's the word I'm looking for? Distill it down to one segment.
I was thinking condense
it down to one segment on a Friday.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a whole segment tomorrow that's just shout outs.
Who knows? In like a week or two, Joey will probably even have an open for it.
He almost certainly will.
There's probably going to be a graphic.
So just any point during the week, if you have a shout out that you want to do, send it in. We'll save it for Friday or use. Should we start a hashtag so we could track
do a
this?
Hashtag if you want to.
Hashtag Friday shout outs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that works.
Hashtag Friday shout outs is easily findable for Twitter, right? So send it in, hashtag Friday shout outs, and we will do Friday shout outs.
And we will shout out like really whatever it is you want us to shout out as long as it's appropriate.
Preferably, it's just us for 10 straight minutes saying shout out this, shout out this.
That's what I want. But I want like a little bit of context where it's like, shout out Dale. You rolled that 282 in league on Thursday.
Shout out
from the Kingpin.
Shout out to the guy who called in earlier who said he's been a fan since 1970. Shout out Matt. Shout out Matt for being in Chicago. Shout out Vinny Pasquantino for hitting 3 dongers last night and having a shot of espresso and some wine after the game.
And putting the United States into the quarterfinals.
The Italians' hearts have to be on the verge of explosion at all times. All that coffee and
their heart,
all that coffee and wine.
The red wine is good for their heart.
But isn't there too much like up and down?
Could be. I don't know.
I'm concerned about the Italians.
Like if Michael Brunts is still with us and he just mainlines coffee and he used to drink more wine. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't drink as much wine anymore. The amount of coffee that man has consumed is enough to tell me that like it probably isn't that big.
But he's not like an espresso guy.
No, but I mean, basically,
it's pretty diesel stuff.
Having a pot at 7:00 at night, it might as well be an espresso.
Yeah, he did give us the great idea of drinking a coffee and then taking a nap to prepare for that 10 o'clock,
which is something that he can just do.
Just very, very odd. Very odd. Grecky writes in. He says, "This is the dumbest idea you've had, and I love it." All right, that's all we
love
need.
Dumb ideas.
An opinion.
All right, so I have an opinion. You all have opinions. Let's get to them. We start with the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. This is from John. John writes in and he says, I have an opinion. Chick-fil-A needs to get back in their lane. Their chicken sandwich, as it was perfect. There is no need for Chick-fil-A chicken jalapeno ranch sandwich with bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I didn't know that existed, and I am mad about it, actually.
Didn't know of its existence either.
Part of the Chick-fil-A allure is that it is just, it's like Cane's in the same way. Like we have chicken strips. That's what we have. We have chicken. If Chick-fil-A I didn't know Chick-fil-A is getting in a jalapeno ranch game.
Everyone's got to try to expand the palate.
I will say they are doing some pretty bang up jobs on sauces. Like their sauces rock, and it's not just the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Here's the thing, though. I could just have the Chick-fil-A sauce and be completely content.
Have you ever tried to like spread it around a little bit, though? Okay.
Where should I go next?
So depends on what you get, obviously. Honey mustard rules. Their honey mustard rocks.
So I think their Chick-fil-A sauce is like a slightly better version of a honey mustard.
That's what I thought. And then my wife kept getting honey mustard, and I go, I'm going to try this.
Okay.
Their honey mustard is really, really good. The Polynesian sauce is incredible.
Okay.
And I think their buffalo sauce is pretty good.
The Polynesian sauce.
It's like it's almost like an Asian, like like a
citrus.
Citrus? No, it's kind of like I don't know. I'm bad at words, so I have a hard time describing it. It's like heavy, kind of syrupy, Like
glaze. It's like an Asian glaze.
yes, an Asian glaze.
All right.
Yes, it's good.
I'll try it.
It's good. You should spread it around a little
They
bit.
are one of those places that their large success makes me feel comfortable just trying random things that they do, because I mean,
you got a lot of confidence.
There's just like a high bar of which things have to probably hit for them to even put it out to the public.
Yep.
So I'm just willing to accept it. Whereas Burger King's the opposite. If someone just walks in and is like, "Hey,
so you
should make a trash sandwich and sell it for $4.99," they'll do it by Tuesday, and I won't eat that sandwich.
You're gonna have to really convince me that I'm gonna have to hear from at least 8 separate people that that's good.
It could not be on a further planet away from each other.
This is how I treat
Arby's.
I treat Arby's like you treat Chick-fil-A. I'm just like, whatever you got, fire it at me.
That's fair. I think Arby's has earned your trust with that.
Arby's has earned my trust.
I think it's a lot harder to build that trust. It requires consistency, and then what you do the output has to be pretty good. When Burger King is like, 1 week we're doing pulled pork, and the next week it's Alaskan cod, and then here's some cheesy tots in between.
I was always mad back in the day.
I like the cheesy tots.
When for whatever reason we would not end up at a McDonald's and we would end up at a Burger King, and I had to get the stupid long chicken sandwich. I was always like, what are you doing, Burger King?
I didn't hate that thing, though.
It was so weird.
It's just a strange, I don't understand anything about them. I really don't.
Here is an opinion from Seth on the Eckerl Bank inbox. He says, I have an opinion. Non-stick pans are all garbage and a huge scam. They maybe work 4 to 5 times, then the food sticks like crazy. All you need is a nice cast iron skillet. Take care of it, use a small amount of oil, and it's non-stick for decades.
I mean, he's not wrong about the value of a nice cast iron skillet.
So on the non-stick pans, like, you must be burning through the like you're having it too hot.
My assumption is that whatever you're cooking like at a high heat, so that it's just sort of working through the
absolutely burning through it. I did that to my nice non-stick pan like immediately after I got it. I'm like, hey, this is fake news. And then they were like, no, you just burned it. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
And then it wasn't sticking after.
Exactly. Seems like user error.
Yeah.
And it was. It definitely was. All right, let's go to Twitter. Peter writes in on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. He says, I have an opinion. The current state of the bubble, in quotes, for the NCAA tournament should be the case in point to not expand the tournament. Make winning games matter more. If I were in charge, if you had a sub 500 conference record, you would be automatically disqualified from an at-large bid.
I don't hate that opinion, to be honest.
Who would that disinclude this year? Who would we be taking? I mean, we might be.
Is Iowa has an under 500, or are they 10-10?
Iowa went 10-10 in the regular season, and obviously won last night. So, like, does the conference tournament games count?
I guess that would get into that whole conversation too.
Probably should. They probably should.
They probably should factor
that would make
Ohio
conference tournaments
State, did they
more
go 10-10
exciting.
or 9-11?
Ohio State went. Ohio State went 12-8.
Okay, never mind. My bad.
In the league.
Apologies to Ohio State.
Indiana went 9-11.
Sorry, Jake Diebler.
And they lost last night.
Who in the SEC would be murdering from the tournament?
Texas, I think, went 9-9.
Texas went 9-9.
Yeah, they went 9-9.
Yeah. Auburn went 7-11.
Out.
Definitely canceled. Oklahoma went 7-11.
Out.
See you later.
Goodbye.
The rest of them are stinky anyway, so we don't have to worry about any. The only SEC teams that affects is those two. How about ACC teams this year? No way anybody with the sub 500
all the
record.
Cal
SMU,
lost,
Virginia Tech
SMU lost, Stanford lost, Wake Forest I think lost.
Oh.
So like all of the teams that had a chance to like play themselves into being the 68th team, all basically lost.
Peter, I would always hesitate to say I agree. Like I will sign off on this blindly, but this is kind of where I'm at. I definitely agree with the idea that this year is a really good example to not expand the NCAA tournament. I think every year ever born was a reason to not expand the NCAA tournament, but especially this year.
Born.
I don't think so. Probably every year to ever exist
Because
is
then if they are, who is the one giving birth to the year?
who is the mother of year?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How does conception work for years?
Great question.
These are the questions. Let's not get bogged down in it, I guess.
Every March, a new year is conceived.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't have any reason to be against it.
I like that opinion, Peter. Thank you.
It's a good opinion.
Here's Jason. Another college basketball related opinion. I have an opinion. The net rankings have ruined the bubble. So people, there has been an added emphasis on the net from the public, because what the net was supposed to do, a handful of years ago when it went into play, was replace the RPI and include more. Basically, it was supposed to be the sorting thing from the NCAA. But we know how the tournament committee looks as far as valuing teams, and it's not the net. It is a variety of other
Wins
things.
above bubble,
WAB,
a few other things.
yeah, a lot of other. The net kind of included in that
Sure.
scenario, kind of not. But it is the sorting tool. And Jason, I think this might be what you're getting at. I am so over talking about the quad 1 and quad 2 and quad 3 and quad 4 and what it takes to win each of those games. Schaefer, you said something to me, whether it was today or yesterday, about Oklahoma winning a game in the conference tournament and how it changes the Nebraska win from a 2 to a 1 or something like that. And I'm like, I wanted to punch you in the face.
Well, you didn't.
I'm glad I didn't, because it would have been an emotional
I'm glad
decision.
too. That would have been a very
But
weird
I
showdown.
didn't like what you said.
Well, I apologize for saying it.
I didn't like it and it wasn't your fault and it wasn't Nebraska's fault. It was the stupid, we are net pilled, I think. So Jason, I kind of agree with you there.
I don't know that there's any way back from it though.
It's definitely better than the RPI.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, it's better than what it replaced. So it's not the problem of the metric. It's just the way that it's discussed and then the emphasis that's put on it.
Right.
So and that's where it's sort of like, where does this go away? And the reason that it comes up, or I even say something like that, is that every graphic that you see this time of year shows a team, and then it's like quad 1 record, quad 2 record, or now you get quad 1A,
Quad 1A,
quad 1, and then quad 2, quad 3, quad 4. And as much as like we want to pretend like it doesn't matter, and at least perception wise, it certainly still holds a ton of value.
It does.
Now, whether that matters to the people that make decisions, I don't know. But yeah, it's sometimes hard to figure out what.
I don't think it does that much. And we certainly talk about it way more than it actually matters.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's a nifty thing that exists. It's so the way I think about net is the way I think about WAR a lot of times in baseball. Like, a player is good, but sometimes you can get really bogged down into, well, he's a 2.5 WAR and he's a 4.2 WAR, but that 4.2 is derived mostly from defense, and that guy's a DH, so his 2.5 is actually more valuable because of what he's doing at the plate. And it's like, all right, but they play the game and then you
could watch it and just
there's other
me.
stats besides this.
Yeah. Text from the 402, actually a couple of them here from Matthew. He says, I have an opinion. Popeyes is better than Cane's and KFC. I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, I don't have pushback on that. I would
They got
choose Popeyes.
They got better selection for sides at Popeyes. That's for sure.
Good take by you.
Popeyes has great sides.
Joey. Matthew, another
You're not
one.
stuck with coleslaw.
I have another opinion.
I don't mind coleslaw.
A bowl game should be the minimum expectation for Nebraska football each and every season. I don't think you're going to find much pushback on either of those, Matthew.
You say that's pretty much a law around here.
Yeah,
right?
don't miss a bowl game.
I don't even remember a time where someone was like, if they don't make a bowl but they win 5 games, that's good enough for
I'd
me.
be happy with that. No, I don't think anyone's actually ever said that before.
So I guess maybe we just needed it stated out loud for everyone to just agree. Law.
Handshake meme. I agree.
No handshake.
That's true. It wasn't a special handshake. It was just a regular one.
Okay. All right.
It wouldn't go viral or anything like that.
Okay.
Happer's meme guy writes in, I have an opinion. With Indiana basketball going 1-6 down the stretch to end the season, the comp to Nebraska football continues to get more and more on the nose. 3 NCAA tournaments in the last 10 years for Indiana. 2 bowl games in the last 10 years for the Corn Hucksters. They really are the same program.
Yeah, I mean it's hard.
It really is.
It's really hard to push back against that, and then There's even talk of just like maybe moving off of
D-Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so
Which would, I mean, can we say this out loud? That would be absurd. If
would
they
be.
fire Darren DeVries right now after the first year, coming off of the Woodson era where they let him just toil around and
I
do
know.
nothing for 7 or whatever it was, that would be ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I 100% agree. And yet I think it's at least like a discussion that's happening. Because I think
so stupid.
I honestly think the worst thing for Indiana basketball is that Indiana football just has had this 2-year run with Kurt Signetti.
Well,
and it's basically like, well, if this guy doesn't show it right away, we might as well just move on.
but what if Nebraska basketball then is goated? Is it a horrible thing for Nebraska football?
I don't know that my brain even cares about Nebraska football if Nebraska basketball is goated.
Wow.
So there's that.
Okay, so that sounds like a bad thing for Nebraska football.
It's probably not great. Probably not great.
Indiana, listen.
Now, the argument there is if Nebraska basketball is goated, then everything's going to be, well, you can't move on from a coach too soon because even after 3 horrible years, he could turn it around
What a
and
horrible
win a
argument.
national title.
What a
so you
horrible
have the opposite argument.
I'm
there.
all for patience. I'm a big patience guy. There's no doubt about it, but that is a stupid example.
I think you also have to consider what the coach that was let go from an NBA team that had success in college before,
which
brings to the equation.
Hilariously, to go back to Indiana, which is the same reason they shouldn't fire D-Rock after this season. He's just a good coach.
I agree.
He'll
If
figure
anything,
it out.
I kind of want them to, so he can go somewhere else and not be stuck there.
Dear God, what would they even do? What would they even do?
I saw this. This was posted somewhere from, I believe, our friends at Husker Hoop Central, Matt, and he posted it as a tweet that who's like the top 2 options when they move off of a Brad Stevens. No, it's funnier.
Phil Jackson,
Brad Stevens, Dusty May.
Yeah, nice.
Dusty May was
he was like a manager.
team manager.
Yeah.
Brad Stevens not going anywhere, that's for sure.
It's not the dream has always been for Indiana to pluck Brad Stevens out, and it's never.
He's staying with the Celtics.
Happened.
Joey's like, hey,
He's cooking.
back off. They are so
is
stupid.
He cooking? Does he like? What's his actual role?
He got Baylor Shireman.
Yeah, he's the GM for the
That's
Celtics.
That's why he's cooking sausage peppers over there. He's got Baylor Shireman.
Have you heard the news? Greatest GM of all time. He got Baylor Shireman. Cracky writes in, I have an opinion. The committee needs to bring back the last 10 record into consideration for tourney teams. A lot of opinions on how tournament teams are selected. I like it.
Yeah, well, we're in tournament time.
I like that. That did go away, didn't it? I forgot about that record over the last 10. But like anything, if you include it in the official criteria for the selection of these teams, then it's going to be it's going to be overanalyzed. Like you can't just say, hey, look at their last 10. They went 8-2. They went at 7-3. I picked the 8-2 team. Maybe they should just not have criteria. Maybe they should just say, pick whoever you want. It's the best teams or whatever you want.
Well, they don't.
And that's how we get Auburn.
We're getting every SEC team. You're getting like 14 of the Big Ten teams.
And then the committee chair comes on the show afterwards and they ask him, so why'd you choose the sub 500 Auburn team over one loss Miami of Ohio? They're like,
more people are going to watch them.
No, they'll just say, we wanted to. There's no criteria. We were
more interested in this.
Yeah, we just felt like they were better. It was like, why did you think that? It's like, we just did.
Yeah. No, the problem with the last 10 is I don't understand why it counts more than the first 10 or the middle 10. Like it's they're if all games should be weighted equally, unless
See, I don't know about that. I don't think that you can look at it that way because we all know that the good teams are better now than they were at the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year. Like I think that's
UConn's a good team. Are they better now than they were at the beginning of the year?
They're probably about the same. I
don't know if that's true. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they won a bunch of important games.
Yeah, they just haven't had many
Then here they beat
opportunities
St.
to win
John's.
important games.
They've had opportunities to lose games to bad teams, and they've done that.
Once again, if you have a lot of opportunities to do something, chances are it's probably going to happen once. And it did to Creighton. People forget
Creighton and
Marquette.
Yeah.
Marquette. who has been sadly eliminated from
Yep.
the Big East tournament, the greatest
They gone.
conference basketball tournament that we have. One more from the Three Putt on YouTube. Opinion: Nebraska basketball losing to McNeese State in the first round would be so Nebraska.
I think McNeese will be a 12 seed.
There
They
you
look
go.
good. They ripped apart.
So what is
Stephen F. Austin?
the Three Putt thinks that Nebraska is going to be a 5, which is very interesting.
I don't think they'll be a 5.
That's what Three
No,
Putt
there's-
says.
They're not going to get down there.
Okay.
I don't know how they would fall to a 5.
Any result that they have in which they get eliminated, the response is going to be, oh well, that's so Nebraska, probably, unless they make it to like the Final Four. They'll be like, all right, good.
Then they lose like
I have-
87 to 14.
I have no qualms.
There is a part of me where it's like, okay, would you rather go out the round before or get blown out in just horrendous fashion where everyone knows that you're the team that scored 29 points in a Final Four game?
How far is it? It's Final Four.
Yeah, you're in the
versus
Final
Elite
Four,
Eight.
but you
Yeah.
lose 87 to
care.
29.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You made the Final Four.
I mean, look,
Make it a Final Four.
Elite Eight, it's gravy at that point.
Yeah,
I would say it's
make the
dependent
Final
on their
Four,
run.
lose by 500
Just
points.
make the second round. I'm in
Honestly,
cloud
just
nine.
don't even show up. Just get lost.
Can't lose if we're not here.
Get lost on your way to the arena.
Oh, sorry, we can't play in the Final Four. We've decided to defend the crown.
We're going to Vegas, everybody. Join along. All right, we'll take a break. When we return, we will have a chat with our dear friend Brian Christopherson. Coming up on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from Underdog Fantasy, where fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back. And Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. You can make picks and win money right now. In Nebraska, playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get those picks right. You could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Sounds like a pretty good deal for me. This week on Underdog, you can take a look at wherever you might want to go, whether it's college, whether it's in the pros. Once again, higher or lower, that's the game for you. Download the app today. Use promo code HAPPER1620. Score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
I'm a symbol man. I'm a symbol man. I'm a symbol man. I'm a symbol man.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone.
All right, time for our weekly chat with our good friend, Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. BC, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are good. Have you enjoyed the weather over the last couple of days doing some, quote, freaky stuff?
Yeah, Quasi Gilmore wasn't wrong there. I mean,
He was right, absolutely.
Yeah. It's welcome to our neighborhood, I guess. But he seemed to have a good spirit about it, which some guys, I think it really throws them through a loop, but he seemed to be adjusting on the fly pretty well.
Was he I don't know what you thought about him. I was certainly excited about the addition of Quasi Gilmer when they got him, but it kind of went under the radar because Nebraska was obviously had more intense needs, I think, at the time, and there was all the conversation about running back and D tackle, but they got a good and productive wide receiver who Nebraska has seen before. Quietly one of the better ads potentially of the offseason there. And now that we've heard from him, maybe that theory is even further enhanced.
Yeah. He's a very polished receiver, I think, for, at this point in his career that I believe is going to be good for Ja'Cory and some of those guys, just with, some of the way he runs his routes and how he can be deliberate with it when he has to be and changes his pace and all that stuff. He's pretty good at the tools of the position. And, his personality, I think if people watched or heard him yesterday, he's a guy who fits in pretty quickly, it seems like. He was friends with Sierra Wright growing up. And of course, everybody, saw how Sierra adapted here. And I think Sierra told him good things. I really grew as a player and a person in this program. And he bought into that idea too. And I guess one thing that sticks out is, when he came on his visit, you only get limited hours, but Dakeil Short said Quasi was just all ball. It was let's talk ball. And so I think that really, it stuck out to the coaches, and it seems like he's been that sort of guy since he arrived. So the one thing they have done well, whether the guys have produced or not produced in the portal, they've gotten the sort of guys that are good for your locker room culture. But I think Quasi can be that, and also a guy who actually, can make some plays for you that can hopefully turn some games or at least move the chains in some key spots.
I know there's always an emphasis, work-wise when you get that first open period. There's certain things you want to see or photos of guys you want to get, or you want to run around and record the roster or whatever it is. What was your primary focus, Brian, when you went over for the open period on Tuesday evening?
Well, that I have my little iPhone safe, so I'm trying to shoot that Scorsese video.
Yeah.
With my i15
street cinematography.
I'm not in the i17 club yet. I might need to change that for fall camp, but I bounced around as much as I could. Some guys who stuck out to me right away were guys, I don't know that we over-talked them or talked over them in the portal, but Dexter Foster, he's listed 6'3", 235. And he was after I walked past the O-line and spent a minute or two there, Dexter Foster was the first guy I saw. I was okay, that's legit there. And we're just talking off the bus with this. This is not he's going to tear it up in the Big Ten and all that. But he's a guy who looks the part. And, Chris Hummer with the network, he did a really in-depth piece on the top 100 under the radar guys that were picked in the portal. And it was really well researched, where he talked to personnel and GMs all over the country like he does. And it was agreed upon that Dexter was one of the guys higher up on that top 100 under the radar list. So other people besides Nebraska think the Huskers got a good one there. And I just think that linebacker spot, that's what jumped out to me the most in the 30 minutes. It looks different with Foster and Chambliss, and even Will Hawthorne's a big kid. So that stood out. Jasir Whittington will not stand out for his size, but his athleticism and quickness popped even in the few little drills we saw. And so that's going to be interesting. I know he was one of the names that Rob Orich mentioned, like in the Cheetah package. And then the other guy that I think people were kind of, I almost hate to say down on, but because it was his fifth school in 5 years, we talked about him on the show like a week or two ago, is Anthony Jones.
Yep.
Definitely looks the part, and he's had a good start to the spring by all accounts. He's a guy that I think others in that edge rushing group are going to learn from. And as I've said before, we hyped up Deshaun McCullough pretty good around here last year, and the numbers didn't necessarily come. I think Anthony Jones has a chance to be probably a little more something there in this scheme with less hype around him.
So what exactly is the Cheetah for Nebraska's new look defense? Because I know Rob Orich was talking about it. He said guys want to be the Cheetah, which, I mean, makes sense. You got a position called Cheetah. It seems cooler than
Tip a Cheetah to her back.
A linebacker or whatever. But what?
Yeah, Cheetah seems like something I'd never be a part of. It does have a nice ring to it.
Yeah. So what is this position? What's the role effectively? It seems from what I was gathering like a really heavy emphasis on pass rush.
Yeah, it's when you get what I understood was it's like your 4 best pass rushers and your 5 best cover guys. So, it's your money down guys, more or less, like guys who can close the deal on a series or when you're in those type of situations when you earn it. And it sounds like, that's still being settled. It was kind of funny because you might have heard Rule the other day was mentioning how Rob Orich is still learning this market where if you say like one name, everybody writes a 600-word story about the guy, which we definitely do. And so he did mention at that point that it was early, but like some guys who maybe had those traits were like Jasir Whittington and Anthony Jones and Williams Noweri. But, there's a lot of ball to decide that. But that's something that guys are going to value wanting to be on. And it seems like a few of the portal additions that they picked up, as you would hope, could be in line to be those type of guys. Like Whittington is such a big player, but bouncing back to him because like, I don't know what you guys think, but I felt like there was, people didn't believe Nebraska maybe got enough on the D line.
I was one of those people. Yeah.
Yeah. In the portal. And so Whittington is like one of those guys where if he can be really good or just, a really good player and then Stoudemire solid, it maybe changes like how we viewed that conversation in January. I don't know, but I think he's that kind of player where he can sort of flip like what the narrative was if he turns into something pretty good. So he's going to be an interesting guy to watch in that respect.
So with those guys, BC, I think there's an added interesting wrinkle to all this during practices, which is the quarterback on the other side has this innate ability to stretch plays and to extend them, and you got to chase him around, and he's a tough guy to capture, right? That hasn't necessarily been the case over the last couple of years, and I don't know if it's a coincidence or not that Nebraska's pass rush has lacked some teeth. How do you think that factors into it when the season comes along where they get a different guy to chase around back there and they got to work really hard to get him?
Yeah, well, hopefully it helps what you're talking about where they can close. I mean, it's still like how much are you actually going to tackle that QB and stuff? You're obviously is off limits, and so it's a different animal once you get to the season. But just the fact that you're getting used to plays where, like Addison Williams said the other day, like your average football play might last like 6 seconds sometimes. And with Calandria, there have been plays where it's been like 10 to 11 seconds, he said. And the offense has had those moments, where sort of in the second act of the play, per se, a guy falls asleep for a second or, you get tired of chasing around and the offense beats him deep. And so I think it can be nothing but valuable for Rob Orch's crew to just kind of grow used to the lifespan of plays being longer. And then if they're actually shorter in games when you're not going against that type of guy, it's all the better for you. So hopefully that does help with the pass rush stuff. And then just, I mean, you're banking a lot on like just a new scheme and some new coaching, like maybe bringing out better traits of guys or putting them in niche spots where they can excel, maybe that they didn't do as well last year. I think that's going to be a big part of it too.
Brian, are you headed out to Chicago, or are you just kind of biding your time for wherever you get sent for the NCAA tournament?
No, I'm heading out here in just an hour or two, getting on the road. I'm driving with my brother.
Hell yeah.
So that's going to be a fun road trip.
Big gulps,
yeah, I'm juiced up about it.
What's your expectation?
I mean, my expectation Friday is you're probably going to get Purdue, I would guess. I mean, who knows? I guess Northwestern could be one of those fun stories where they last for like 3 or 4 days. You would get them on the 4th day if that's the case, and you would hope Nebraska could kind of close that down. They'd be the little darling of this little tournament if they were still playing Friday. I think Purdue, Nebraska is going to be just a dogfight that goes down to the wire. That usually when you think of like a 2 seed versus 7 seed matchup, you're like, okay, obviously the 2 seeds got a favored status there by 6-7 points. I think in this case they're also tightly packed together in this league. That's like a toss-up game. So Nebraska's going to just have to be more, dialed in from the jump and close off defensive possessions better than they did in that first game in Lincoln against Purdue. And I think if they do get the Boilermakers, I said that this after the game, but that was the one where you could look at it where like, oh, Nebraska should have won because if Rink Mass would have hit that free throw. You could also look at it like, hey, Purdue was up like 12-15 with 3 minutes left on the clock. What got us in that situation, and what are the areas we have to hammer to combat that this time? I think that's how they would go into it, and I just hope we see the defense, at its full level. Because when this team plays defense like it's capable and has those active hands and is so connected that they can play with anybody, but they're going to have to bring that for 40 minutes.
What are you packing and snacking today?
Nothing. I don't have anything yet. That'll be like a game time decision. I tend to go. I'm a Cheez-Its guy a lot on the road. I don't have Cheez-Its any other time but road trips. It's sort of like it's like, okay, that's where you turn to that. So I'll probably go regular Cheez-Its. Sometimes I'll throw in a chocolate bar with the Cheez-Its. Like a Hershey's chocolate bar, which is a strange combination
It's an odd one.
palate, but it's the sort of stuff you do when you're on the trip. I'm with someone and my brother who likes a good gas station stop and doesn't hurry you, so that's good.
So are you
Good
guys
travel
going to be
partner.
discussing Kyler Murray during this drive? And then if the news comes out that the Vikings have indeed signed Kyler Murray, will you stop the car, get out and celebrate?
I know we'll talk about it. We tabled that discussion. I haven't texted him at all about it because there's actually like 3 or 4 topics where I was like, no, we'll save that.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
Really good.
I have a friend like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, not that you need to. I mean, he's my brother. I can have natural conversation with him. I'm not acting like I got to like look at a list, be like, okay, now we talk about Kyler Murray.
It's more fun for us if you have an outline and then you send us what the outline is.
You ever
before
see
go
that
on
thing
the
where the
trip.
guy, the group of dads like go to the bar or whatever,
Yeah.
and the one dad's got like an outline of
Yep.
like
Yeah.
topics to hit? That sounds like this road trip.
Hey, my brother Eric, how do you think Kyler Murray would fit with Kevin O'Connell and his history with quarterbacks? He did do very well with Sam Darnold. Yeah, I'll have to jot that down just in case it's.
Yeah,
I'm interested in that
like it.
answer.
You got to think of a really engaging way to ask the question too. Like I think you're on the right path.
Here's a fun one for you, brother. Yeah, I'll get 4 or 5 topics. I like Kyler Murray. I like Kyler Murray to the Vikings. I mean, it beats what we. had going last
Absolutely.
year, I guess. So we'll see where it goes.
All right, BC, have a safe trip and a good weekend. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, guys.
Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7.
I don't know what it was. The way that he was just saying brother was cracking me up.
Hi, brother. What do you think about this Kyler Murray thing? Sounds pretty fun, doesn't
I've
it?
got a fun one for you, brother.
Hey, I bet it would be better than 9.
Everything's better than
That'd
that.
be your topic starter.
It would be.
Better or worse than 9? Better.
Tavarius Jackson. We'll go through every former Vikings quarterback and we'll rank.
I like Tavares Jackson.
Blind rankings. That's
Tavares
good.
Jackson was cool.
He was fine.
There you go.
He helped
We
him
should
get
do
to
a
the playoff.
You love the blind rankings now. I should do a blind rankings to you of all Vikings quarterbacks that weren't the good ones.
That's actually fun.
Spurgeon win.
There's a lot of options, actually. A lot of options. All right,
Kelly Holcomb.
we'll take a break right at the hour after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, don't forget, Max Olson will join us at 9:15. We'll talk about the latest in courts, a.k.a. college football, with Max coming up in just a little bit. Let's check in on the state basketball tournament. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I have.
Yesterday,
No, I haven't seen that.
West Side
Sorry, Dana.
beat Lincoln High, needed a late comeback to do so. There was also a questionable foul call at the end of that game. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. A lot of people have determined that Jack Mitchell's needless tweet at the end of the third quarter tanked Lincoln High's ability to finish this
Did he
game.
honk for Lincoln? And
He
then,
was honking about the 90s for some reason in all caps. It made sense probably specifically to him. And then he had to do like a follow-up tweet that was, I guess it didn't go.
classic Jack.
Yeah.
Now, if he would have saved it until after the second game of the day in Class A, he would have been in a better position. Lincoln Southwest beat Millard North to advance to the semifinal.
Yeah.
The semifinals in Class A are tomorrow. So West Side and Lincoln Southwest, that's 1-4.
That's a good game.
And then Bell West and Papio South, who beat Prep yesterday. What's up with, I gotta be careful here. What's up with Prep losing all these playoff games recently? Can't win a district final, got to get in as a wild card, and then not win the state tournament. What has happened to the Prep that we knew?
I don't know.
Very, very, very interesting. Class B will start today as this giant tournament is taking place over a 4-day period now instead of a 3-day one, which is a positive. Scott and Pius, Elkhorn North and Wahoo, Norris and Bennington, Scotts Bluff and Gretna East. By the way, shout out to our guy Weekday Wade for Gretna East on the girls' side.
Yeah.
Meeting.
I was
All
gonna
the way
say
to
that
the
for Friday.
finals.
That'll work. It's a free Friday shout out.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I mean, they made it to the finals and performed admirably, but lost to an undefeated Bennington team. Shout out to that Bennington team.
Do you have any takes? Oh, yeah, because you're a Bennington honk now.
Yeah.
Do you have any takes on what happened in Class C2 and D2, which was the following? UTAN over EMF.
EMF.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
EMF.
North Bend Central lost to Norfolk Catholic.
Okay.
Fremont Bergen beat Pender in C2. And Valentine, who was 23-3, sadly saw their dream season come to an end with an overtime loss to Freeman yesterday.
Wow.
Not Owen Freeman, just Freeman. So the semifinals for
Could
that.
Owen Freeman beat a C2 basketball team
I think so.
by himself?
Probably by himself, I don't know, but
That'd be tough. 1-on-5.
he could shoot it a little bit.
Oh, he could shoot it. I think it'd be tough for anyone to defend him in the post.
That's true. I don't know. He might have a chance. So UTAN, Norfolk Catholic, Bergen, and Freeman in the C2. Okay, now we got to go down to D2 because I'm excited to even learn about this. All right, so Elgin Pope John, who is the 1 seed, and they beat Pleasanton by 2.
1 by 2, yeah.
By 2 yesterday. And unfortunately, I didn't know that. I thought Deschler was co-op with somebody else, but Deschler's in there, and they lost to Guardian Angel Central Catholic.
Or GAC, if you're of a certain part of the state.
How about Guardian Angel Central Catholic, 15-11 regular season, get in, and all of a sudden beat a 3-loss Deschler team in the D2 quarterfinals. Then Archangels Catholic beat Fall City Sacred Heart, and St. Mary's beat Why Not. Class D2 semifinals coming up tomorrow morning. We'll be watching some of it on our television.
Yeah.
Inside of the studio, which I am excited.
What is the early? Do we have a
9 o'clock is Elgin Pope
Live
John
sport.
versus GAC.
All right, let's go.
9 a.m. from the Court of Many Lines, the Bob Devaney Center.
Many lines.
You know, they're putting in. They're starting to put in the more after the. I think it's after the state tournament gets done. They're going to try and put in those new seats over there. They're going to do all that
It's
stuff.
going to be the Devaney's going to change a little bit.
Devaney's going to change a little bit. After the spring game, they might do some stuff to the stadium too.
Well, we'll see.
A fair point.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll do something.
I'm sure they'll do something. By the way, from the 402, EMF is Exeter Milligan Friend.
I thought Friend was in there, but I couldn't come up with the other
So
two.
it used to be just Friend, and it used to be just Exeter Milligan.
And then, yeah.
Oh,
I could not. So I was sitting on, it was like Friend, but it's like, who is around there that would be an E and an M? And I couldn't come up with Exeter Milligan.
that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, well, I mean, like co-op to stay alive, I guess, but
Sure.
like what's all there, there used to be an Exeter Milligan. That's how I knew it. I'm sure at one point there was just Exeter and Milligan.
Sure.
And then it became Exeter Milligan.
Well, there was Elgin and there was Pope John, and now there's Elgin Pope John because it's a community of, a few hundred people, and they need to put it together.
Sad.
They have a very cool football field.
Really?
At Elgin Pope John.
Where is Elgin?
So Elgin's up in kind of the north central part of Nebraska. I went up there and watched Ainsworth play Elgin Pope John in football, and their football field, you drive into this like one road in park, and it's kind of all the way to the back, and then there's cornfields that surround. It's a really cool setting. And we had a thunderstorm roll in, and you could see that thing from like miles away.
Okay,
it was very cool.
I love that.
I enjoyed it a lot. And then Carter Nelson just destroyed everyone in football.
Shout out to everybody in the state tournament. It'll continue on through this weekend. We're back 9:00 hour after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, 9 o'clock here on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you. Like I said earlier, there is a lot of conference tournament basketball going on. Unfortunately, we have to wait one more hour for the first game to start. It's disappointing. We should be going wall to wall. And my first wall starts at 6 a.m. now. And so I would appreciate it if there was live sports on at 6.
Again, a daylight conference tournament. You know, some conferences like, you know what, we want to be the first to play every morning. We'll just take on the the rating share.
Come on, East Coast, play a local 10 a.m.
I'm amazed Brent Yormark doesn't do this.
I know. And honestly, I would take anything to knock out any of the chit chat shows that go on, during that period of time on television.
I constantly wonder how there's an audience for these shows.
I don't think there is.
There has to be, because otherwise Stephen A. Smith wouldn't be the most paid person on ESPN programming.
But I bet more people are watching the Barstool stuff on the website rather than this television show.
Well, that might speak to how people get their
Barstool.
Now, but yeah, and that might be Barstool specific. Plus, FS1 is not exactly a ratings bonanza.
It is most certainly not, famously having lost a lot of times to Bubble Guppies when they hired Skip Bayless.
Those updates were usually pretty fun.
The Richard Deitch has given it up, I think.
Yeah, well, I don't think he has a job in the same way anymore. He's not hired as a media critic. No one's paying him to do that. I think he has some other stuff that he does.
Is he not working for The Athletic anymore?
I don't think so. I think he's got a thing with his. He's from Canada. He's got a thing with the Score, maybe. Is that what it is in Canada?
Richard Deitch, father of twins, fan of Toronto, NYC, Buffalo, host of sports media podcast, SBJ contributor, Sports Business Journal, and alum of Sports Illustrated / The Athletic / Sportsnet.
And Sportsnet is what I was looking for.
Part of two countries. All right, so he's throwing out tweets every once in a while. He hasn't done a tweet in a couple weeks.
It's not the same as when he was
tweeting about Bubble Guppies.
Agreed. It is not the same.
Which was absolutely fantastic. So there's a potential great idea for any conference out there that would like to start a conference tournament that begins every day at 7:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
it goes until 11.
Get Starbucks to sponsor it or something.
Oh, Dunkin'.
Get one of the East Coast, one of those
Tim Hortons.
That's Canada's thing.
They got some Tim Hortons up in the Northeast.
I know, but that's Canada's thing.
I went to a Tim Hortons in Michigan once.
Yeah, because it's right by the border.
It's right by
Windsor,
in the
Windsor,
same
Ontario.
Group is Burger King, right? The same ownership group has
that I don't know.
I thought there was some sort of Tim Horton Burger King thing.
I
which is why
apologize.
Burger King was really prevalent in Canada.
I apologize for not following the money on my Tim Hortons. I wish I should. I probably should have when I went to Tim Hortons.
This doesn't strike me as a thing anyone needs to know, and yet here I am saying.
UMass and Miami of Ohio started at 10. Power conferences get underway at 11. ACC, NC State, Virginia. Big East, Providence, and St. John's could be a little spicy at the Garden. Big Ten, Iowa and Ohio State. They get to go at 11 o'clock on the BTN. Any comments, thoughts, concerns?
Iowa, Ohio State is a entertaining enough game. I actually thought Iowa was about to biff it yesterday in their game. They were really struggling, but they managed to pull through. And then, Ohio State, they're both safely in the tournament. I don't think either one needs anything. And then the winner gets rewarded by playing Michigan, I believe.
Fun.
So they've got that.
And then in the Big 12, we have Iowa State and Texas Tech.
Fun game. Fun game at 11:30 in the morning.
Always a very, very, very heavy Iowa State Cyclones crowd in Kansas City.
Go Clone.
They take that thing over. I mean, credit to them every year. It's just a well-known thing. Number one, it's a good traveling fan base anyway. Number two, when we go to the Big 12 basketball tournament, we open that thing. That's what they do.
It's a bigger fan base than you probably think that it would be.
Yeah.
Just because Iowa State seems like it's dwarfed by Iowa so much, in terms of just who has the market share.
It does probably for us, from our perspective, just because we deal mostly with Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's actually the case.
I think even when they were in the Big 12, it felt that way, but it's because their football interest wasn't that high. That,
Yeah.
the basketball was what carried the day when it was Eustace, and then eventually it was Hoiberg and everything else. So I forget who was the coach in between there.
Greg McDermott.
McDermott was there for how long?
Wasn't very long.
It didn't go exactly how he had hoped.
Yes, as he would put it, he beat the posse.
It's not wrong.
He was like, "Yeah, I got out of there before they fired me."
Wrong.
He's admitted that several times. He was there for 4 seasons.
Okay.
Went basically 500 every year.
Yeah.
And he beat the posse here to Omaha.
And I would say that was probably
We are
a bit of a
happy
decision.
he did.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, Creighton and
Speaking of that, Bobby Hurley was let go by Arizona State.
he did not beat the posse. There's no beating the posse.
They got him.
Bobby Hurley would never do that, even though he's got some like mob stuff that that
He's been tarred and feathered.
but he's like, no, I'm staying here until they literally kick me out.
There's really no Arizona State basketball posse.
No, but you're never going to remove a Hurley from a job unless you physically do so. And that's what happened with Bob.
I will pick you up in that chair right now.
I will remove you from this job. So Creighton and Seton Hall today, 1:30. You could hear it on 1620 The Zone and on 1019 The Keg at 1:30. That's the tip-off.
Do you have predictions for any of these tournaments? Who's going to win the Big East?
St. John's.
St. John's wins the Big East. So
Yeah.
Even if Creighton wins, you don't see them making a magical run?
Unless Providence beats them today, but no, I don't think so.
Okay, so St. John's wins the Big East. You want to do all of? Should I just throw tournaments at you?
Sure. I these are just total guesses. I don't even.
That's what people are listening for.
I
They're
don't
not
even know.
expecting analysis.
I don't even know how the brackets
Big 12
actually work out. Iowa State, Hong Kong.
Okay.
I love them.
Let's go ACC, where there's a lot of talk about how Duke is hurt and can't shoot the three against good teams.
Duke.
Yeah, I don't. There's like a lot of emphasis on what Duke isn't, and it's like they're still the best team in that conference by a large margin.
They'll probably still find a stupid way to lose.
With all the respect to Virginia that I can fake here, that's the second best team, and I don't really believe in it. So
I'll pick Virginia.
Okay.
Might as well go in Virginia, and they could lose to NC State this morning.
And then
I know.
the Big Ten. I guess Michigan.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
I guess Michigan. Are we looking at it at a Michigan-Nebraska final?
So here's where I've come down on this.
How bad do you want a Michigan-Nebraska final?
I want it. I definitely
Some
want it.
people.
Do we get his Nick Stauskas reunion?
No,
return?
he will be
I
nowhere
actually
near
don't
it.
hate that idea that they bring Nick Stauskas out for the game.
Just
And it's
CBS
like, all right.
requesting a fourth guy on the crew.
We're
Oh,
bringing
look,
in this,
Big T
this
moved over there.
guy. We've heard he's good.
Oh,
Big
there.
T is bad.
He moved over to the desk over there. Anyway,
I don't like Big T at the desk.
I don't either. I like him in his chair.
He looks way more uncomfortable at the desk.
Now, would you hear the argument that I'm sure our friend Jake Sorensen might present tomorrow,
Absolutely.
which is, I don't want to go very far in the Big Ten tournament. I want to rest for the
But
NCAA
wasn't
tournament.
he mocking people that have said this exact
I
thing?
don't know his take on this
I
at all.
think that's what was happening the other day. And
Oh, was
so-
there a social media thing?
I think so.
Interesting.
So here's my initial sort of view of what I think will happen for Nebraska. I think they either end up in the championship game or they lose in the first round. Like, I don't think they're going to win and then lose in the semifinal.
Okay.
So I kind of have them, and I think they're going to win on Friday. I think they're going to be playing in the championship game on Sunday, and if they play Michigan, they're not going to win.
So who's the three again? Is it Michigan State?
Michigan State.
Okay. They could win that. Obviously, they have.
Yeah, I think that matches up better for them than if it was, we'll see. I think Wisconsin could end up beating Illinois too in that 5-4 should they get there. So
I think they're a dark horse to make a run to the final.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Well, they've beaten the teams they've beaten Illinois, they've beaten Michigan.
Yeah, they've done it.
And they're playing good basketball, but the last time they were sort of on a heater, they turned around and lost to like Oregon or something. So,
This is from our dear friend Platcat, who I trust implicitly. A Thursday team, so a 5 to 8 seed, has made the finals in 4 straight years. And Bigelow followed up. He said 5 seed or lower has been in every Big Ten finals this decade.
all right. So
That's ridiculous.
that is pretty wild.
I mean, that
I guess
probably mostly would point to
they
the
haven't had a
idea
one-
that the top 4 seeds are all very
Yeah.
comfortably in position to have good spots in the NCAA tournament and therefore don't care that
Right.
much. You know?
So I did see a stat, and I don't know, it's obviously goes beyond the 5 years, but there's been a large gap of time since the 1 versus 2 has played out in the Big Ten tournament.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, you probably have to go back to like when it was Maryland, Rutgers, obviously not with the new additions, but you know, it might be like 8 or 9 years at this point. So
it always work out that way.
and the thing is,
I will tell you the last time it's been 1 versus 2.
Okay.
We've had a lot of 1 versus 3s over holy smokes. The last time it was 1 versus 2 was number 1 seed Ohio State and number 2 seed Wisconsin in 2007.
Wow. Yeah.
Tournament most outstanding player Greg Oden.
So it wasn't 8 or 9 years. It was 18.
It was a lot of
It was
years.
Greg Oden's only
Now-
year at Ohio State.
Now we see a lot of appearances from the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Which happened as recently as 3 years ago. The last time the 2 was in it was 2 years ago when that was Illinois, the 2 seed.
Yep.
Invariably
Nebraska.
makes appearances in this thing. But it does seem to be kind of a crapshoot wild card. I would imagine that that's pretty consistent over the entirety of high major conference tournaments. Like you just get random seed numbers.
Yeah.
Last year in the Big East, it was 1 versus 2, I guess. But I'd have to go year by year on that one because
Right.
we've definitely gotten some random ones in the Big East too.
No, there's that has to just be sort of what it is with conference tournaments. That's also what's entertaining about it is when a team does make a run. And you know, didn't NC State get in because of their run through the ACC tournament with the DJ Burns?
The year they went to the Final Four?
Yeah.
I think
Well, I'm pretty sure they beat
They
a North
needed-
Carolina team or something in the championship.
they needed a sick run like at the end of the year. I don't know. I think it was all the way.
Was that a
through the
Kevin
title
Keats
game.
team?
Yeah, Kevin Keats. Yeah,
And then they let him go for Will Wade.
fun.
They love their alliterative names.
Will Wade, definitely not crooked.
Definitely not tampering.
Definitely not corrupt. They don't have the seeds attached on the Wikipedia page on the Big East one. Sadly, UConn Marquette that may have been one. Feels like maybe it's a little bit more chalky in the Big East. I guess it's a smaller league, so maybe that makes some sense. But anyway, I don't know. I will say if Providence beats St. John's today, which I'm very much excited to watch that game just because I'm excited about the potential of them fighting each other.
And it's the Big East tournament.
And it's the Big East tournament, which makes it doubly exciting to me. But if Providence somehow finds a way to win that game, all of a sudden that next game it takes on such a different light because the winner then thinks obviously that they could beat Providence. And
Who's now playing their 3rd game in a row.
that being said, Seton Hall, is that they'd be fine against St. John's just from a matchup perspective. But it would be a lot of air out of Creighton sails, I think, if they make it to the next round and it's St. John's on the other side of the court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just hasn't worked out at all.
If you're Seton Hall and it's Providence and you beat Creighton, then you're basically like, oh man, there's a pathway
We're
back
going to
into
the final.
NCAA tournament
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So that's that would be very interesting. We'll see what Providence can do though.
Do you think that one of the Big East NCAA tournament teams should lay on their sword and allow one more into the NCAA tournament?
I mean, you like Creighton did with Georgetown?
So what you're basically doing with yes, that's definitely what Creighton did.
I mean, I can't
Let's
assume
put it-
that they were attempting to play a game.
Let's put it on the internet that they weren't trying to win that game. That's the best for everyone. So you have this kind of 3-team playoff with Providence, Seton Hall, and Creighton. You know, if St. John's is out of the picture, Providence is on in the semifinal, and then winner of Creighton Seton Hall moves on to the semifinal. Winner of that game goes to the final, and then let's say they beat UConn in the final.
Which is very, very much a possibility.
UConn just lays down and dies, and one of Providence or Creighton goes to the NCAA tournament. Sounds good to me.
Hurley just gets ejected before the game and then tells them to not try as a protest.
Although, unfortunately, I think UConn would probably want blood against Creighton at this point. They're probably a little sick of
Probably.
losing to them.
That would make sense.
You might see Auburn in the March Madness field and doesn't want to play them.
So maybe injured and half broken Villanova would lay down for Creighton in the final.
I'm now imagining a world where Creighton makes the NCAA tournament, goes to Dayton, and plays Auburn in the first.
They can't go to Dayton. There is no Dayton available for Creighton.
Why not?
Because
high major qualifiers don't have to play in the.
Indeed.
I keep forgetting.
No
that.
Dayton.
All right.
Vegas or not Dayton. That's it. That's the story.
Vegas, one of the 8 spots, not Dayton.
Yep, that's it.
There's 9 places they can go.
We'll be back with Max Olson after this on 1620 The Zone. Here's a comment on YouTube from Black Cat. I might be tripping, but I was rewatching some Last Chance U on Netflix the other day, and I could have sworn I saw Max being interviewed on the show. You, I believe, swore right. Black Cat, Max Olson, he of Last Chance U fame and of ESPN, joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Good morning, Max.
Good morning. I hadn't heard that one in a while. Unfortunately, my Netflix career did not take off from there, but it is a fun fact.
Does it surprise you that people are going back to watch Last Chance U? Because I haven't even thought about that show in several years now.
Was it Jason Brown was the coach?
It was Jason Brown. That's right.
I can't remember the last time I thought about that.
I actually, other than the Max
Sorry,
stuff,
Max.
never really watched Last Chance U.
Wow.
Like it wasn't, I think in part, and Max would sort of get this, like you talk to enough of those guys, like I feel like I had a pretty familiar understanding of what junior college football life was like.
Correct. Yeah.
You talk to anybody at Fort Scott, you know full well.
You put in your 10,000 hours talking to JC guys, Mike.
Yes, you did. And now that time is over.
Yeah. They don't really recruit them anymore, and I don't have to spend as much time with it.
Now we get to talk about courts and tampering and things like that.
Yeah, much more fun.
Max had a big story out this week on ESPN.com about the world of tampering in college football. Of course, there's a story about the Big Ten sending a letter to basically whomever will read it on how they don't feel as if cracking down on tampering right now would be the appropriate thing to do because it's just so rampant and basically it wouldn't do anything at this point. Max, I mean, this is the topic. It seems like maybe of the off season here. And everybody agrees that something's got to get done, but nobody necessarily knows from which angle to attack it from.
Yeah, and the Big Ten is proposing that we pause investigations into tampering. I would tell you guys, in talking with GMs and agents, at least on the college football side, like things are so out of control, and like nobody has any fear of consequences or sanctions or anything like that. That I don't think like that would really change anything if we paused it. Like I don't think the men's basketball portal is going to be insane no matter what. So it would ultimately be like, hey, let's try to pause this and have a conversation about like what should the penalties be for this going forward, because I think they're realizing that this is the rules are really not set up to try to stop what's going on right now, and to what degree you even want to stop it, I think is another discussion, because I think for players, for coaches and GMs, for agents, like everybody's benefiting right now from tampering. Like, yeah, you don't want to lose guys, and yeah, like the G5 level or the FCS level, it sucks. But I think for the most part, like in terms of having pre-portal conversations and trying to line this stuff up before the portal opens, like I think everybody kind of wins when you do that, because it's kind of vital now with how quick the portal period is, and how much money's on the line. You got to get that stuff figured out. So. I think the NCAA, is struggling to keep up with this because, investigations take a long time, and ultimately, like, do you want to treat this like speeding tickets because everybody's doing it, or do you want to create like major penalties and say like, hey, if you tamper, then you can't go to the playoff or something, and like trying to create some deterrence. I think they need to kind of figure out what is the actual way to police this if we want to police this at all.
Could they just do what the NFL decided to do, which is just create a meaningless thing like the legal tampering window, and you just throw that at some point in the month of December so everyone can legally tamper at that point in time? Or is it just different?
I think there's some merit to talking about that. And I've heard that mentioned by a few GMs of like, what if it's a period where, at this point in time, guys can announce that they're guys can put their names in the portal and have conversations, but the visits and all that stuff don't start till January. Like it wouldn't be that much of a departure from what we currently do.
Right.
I think
you just put like a label on
season. Right. Exactly. We just try to treat it like, hey, you can't get deals done until January or whatever. But certainly what we saw in this last cycle was, as soon as the season's over, guys are announcing on social media, hey, I plan to enter the portal on January 2nd. And I think from that point forward, they want to be contacted. They want to be recruited once they put that out there. So it's really game on for those guys, and they're fair game. And so we kind of already did that in December in a lot of ways. And so maybe you need to try to create some structure here where there are those conversations, because that's the point of the Big Ten is like, we're not just talking about like, hey, collectives, going after guys and stuff. Like we're now talking about, renegotiating rev share deals, and it's a very different economic situation now than it was a few years ago. And so I think you got to adjust probably the rules to that. There needs to be some period of time in which there is, it is okay to have some contact.
Max, you sort of detailed this in the story. It was one of the things that I found like maybe most interesting. The story surrounding Luke Ferrelli, which we talked about a few times on this show, and his transfer from Cal, and then the Clemson Ole Miss part of it. Why was that the one, outside of, I guess, Dabo, being outspoken about it? Why was that the story that seemed to grab the attention of the college football world? I mean, it certainly was the biggest tampering story that has been made public to date so far, I think.
Yeah, I think it's I think it has everything to do with the Clemson press conference, because if you go back to that time, the thing that was also going on the exact same time was that was Miami was taking Darian Mensah and Cooper Barcade away from Duke, and I think that's a much bigger deal in terms of like top 100 players and having an impact on the playoff and all that type of stuff. But you didn't see Manny Diaz have a press conference about it, and so I think Dabo going public like he did, and trying to lay out the timeline and the text communications and receipts and all that type of stuff. But Luke Ferrelli, it's just one of those things that you just don't see coaches do. Like you hear a lot of griping about how, man, things are so bad and out of control, and they can tamper with anybody at any time and all that stuff. But I think for Dabo, having not been in the portal world up until a year or two ago, probably for him it was just very eye opening of how this goes, and I think he felt like they were wronged and wronged right at the deadline there with the way that went. And when you talk to other agents and GMs about this stuff, like I think there's a certain amount of this that they've just come to like expect and accept, even if some of this stuff is like wrong. It's just like that's the game is the game. So it's sort of in talking to those guys, it's like, okay, so what are the unwritten rules? What are the ethics around this stuff now that you guys are kind of making up on the go? And I think now that we're in rev share, and now that there's signed contracts, and you're, if you are asking someone to break a signed contract and they're already re-signed, or they're just moved into their new school, I think people view that as like, hey, that feels like crossing the line. Like it's hard to defend that. But again, like, is that something that is going to actually like come back on Ole Miss? Like, I don't know. Ole Miss can point to LSU and plenty of other programs that tampered with their guys.
There used to be this idea, or this, it was just a common saying, I guess, in recruiting and certainly in the transfer portal too. Like, you just don't know until you get them on campus. Like you can't really relax until you get them there. And now that is not the case. Like that might not even be the case. So the only thing that is really, stopping any of that stuff from happening after players get on campus even is coaches' own like morality. Like, how far do I want to go here? And that feels like a really awkward place to be for the sport, which is never.
I don't think we want to rely on coaches' morality.
Never really been the backbone
these guys?
of the sport, Max. No.
Well, and especially, a 2-week portal period, you get to the end of it, and there was definitely programs that were, the one thing that one of the things Dabo alleged was that Pete Golding texted Luke Ferrelli and said, I don't care what the buyout is. Like, I know you're signed. Well, what's the buyout? Like, we'll pay it. And there were other programs that were doing that, and other programs that were landing guys at the end of the portal cycle who had already re-signed somewhere else and are going to have to pay a buyout. And, that stuff is going to be a problem. Like, I think, again, there's no rules to this stuff, but like now that we are talking about signed rev share deals and trying to treat those as contracts, and whether they're multi-year or 1 year, like I think people would like to live in a world where once those are signed, or once our guys re-signed, then they're off limits, and the juice is not worth the squeeze, like you saw with Demond Williams Jr. and some of those situations, right? I think people would like to operate like that. I think the Big Ten would like for whatever the rules to be to uphold that. But in these last two portal cycles, it truly is just a total free for all of like, well, we don't think we're going to get in trouble for anything that we do, so we're going to do what we feel like you got to do.
So you mentioned something earlier that you think it's going to be a crazy men's basketball portal cycle, and it made me wonder, like, how much do you pay attention to the portal cycle of something like basketball? I don't know if you have to cover it with ESPN, but like, are you sort of paying attention to this, or agents, or college football GMs paying attention to other sports just to see if there's stuff that happens in the portal that could eventually happen in football or the way deals get made? Is there anything to be gleaned, I guess, from another sports portal session?
Yeah, it's not something that I'm going to cover on a day-to-day, but I do think you can clearly see like the signs. I think the football portal that we just went through, kind of indicates probably what we're looking at here. And like you saw all the headlines and all the grief that Kentucky got for whatever, a $22 million roster or whatever. Like, I think we're going to see a lot more of that in this cycle. And that's going to be really complicated for these schools because obviously they are overspending on their football rosters and they are trying to come up with, ways to pay those guys that don't count towards the cap. And, certainly with how this stuff is all divided up, like you're not, some schools are gonna be different than others. Obviously Creighton's going to look at this differently than, football school and stuff. But like, most of these schools are not allocating a ton of money for basketball yet. They're going to feel like they have to overpay to get players and you have to overpay to re-sign players. And so I imagine just the price of the basketball player continues to go way, way up, even though it's a smaller roster. And, again, it puts these schools in this position of, having to try and circumvent the rules with the cap. And, will that lead to more conversation about like, we need to just not have a cap? Like I could see that because I just think, the agents know there's a ton of leverage here and, that they can continue to ask for more because there's always another school that's willing to pay that number, right? There's just too much competition in these spaces. And so, I would imagine, you're going to see plenty of that. And I'm sure that just like in college football, I'm sure the tampering and the pre-portal deals are well underway.
All right, Max, we will let you go. As always, great stuff, and we appreciate the time. Enjoy your weekend.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Max Olson from ESPN, and yes, once appeared on an episode of Last Chance U. Sam mentioned something yesterday when we talked to him that I've thought for a while, and it's basically like, all right, there's all this freedom of movement. Max just talked about leverage that agents feel like they have as far as players and their ability to just not be at the place that they're at. That's always their leverage. Okay, sure. If you don't pay me my money, I'll leave. That's great. I mean, maybe the right way to approach this is go back to more restrictive transfer rules. And like that feels like a fix that a lot of people would welcome. I think maybe
Except the court system.
And honestly, if we were thinking about I'm thinking about it in like a utopian, beautiful world here.
Sure, yeah.
But like,
I like that.
Players in general maybe would come to the understanding by this point and say, yeah, this whole 4 schools in 4 years thing is not good for me. Like, that's not a good thing for my development. I like that I have the ability to do so, but the leverage that I have shouldn't force me to do it every single year. And so maybe there would be an acceptance of like, yeah, some more restrictive transfer portal rules would be a good thing for the sport.
Yeah, well, the thing that I always wanted was the one free transfer, and then anything after that went back to having to give up a year of eligibility to make it work, because that would really cut in to the transfers. And I just don't know how that would work in the court system where everything is basically taken
right.
And
it would just get challenged.
The thing that I'm fascinated by is when we get enough data that you start to see NFL teams are far more interested in drafting guys that have only transferred once, have played in the same system for multiple years. If that changes the approach that some, players might have, where it's like, all right, if the end goal of this is to get to the NFL, and it looks like the best chance of doing that is only playing for a total of 2 schools because they want to see, someone stay somewhere for a while, play in the same system, grow and develop, maybe that helps tamp some of this down. Now, the opposite of that is, hey, I don't think I can get to the NFL. I got to chase as much money now because my earning period by the time I'm 24 is actually going to go backwards.
Right.
So I need to earn every dollar I can, which is unfortunately, I think, how many people will approach it.
It's a heavier counterbalance.
And I shouldn't even say unfortunately. I understand it from the dollars and cents thing, but you could also argue that you're costing yourself future revenue if you don't go somewhere and get developed with consistency.
No doubt about it. I mean, I think that's been proven out many times.
And I think we see in the college football,
but nobody sees
world,
it that way because everybody's looking at one step ahead.
Yeah, it's 2 different things, right? There's team building, there's roster building, there's individual development, and so. In the college world, you're seeing teams are hurt by the fact that it's hard to have an offensive line that's good anymore because you don't get 5 guys that stick together and play a bunch of snaps together. You're usually having to swap someone in. They come from somewhere else where you don't know what that coaching is, what they've been taught. Then you have to try to get it on the fly, and it takes a while to gel. Like, I mean,
nobody's ready to play in the first 3 weeks of the season because everybody's brand new, and therefore we're going to schedule a bunch of crap load teams.
I really wish that I would have bookmarked this story because I always want to refer back to it. But someone at ESPN, it wasn't Max, but it was somebody else, wrote a really good sort of summation about how all of these offensive lines throughout football have just sort of struggled. And it really is problematic in college, where you throw a bunch of money at anybody that has played, but you really don't know what you're getting. Like, because an offensive line, isolated offensive lineman, it's hard to know how that's going to fit when you put them in with the rest of your offensive line.
Yeah.
And then how much to value that isolated offensive
and
lineman.
College is so much about systems,
So,
like in protecting offensive linemen
right.
a lot of the times too. You just don't know.
You know, you're Kentucky and you're like, all right, we're going to throw a bunch of money at Shiaz Pete, who is good at New Mexico State. But what does that mean when he has to step in and play an SEC pass rusher? Right. And like, what does it mean when he has to line up next to these other guys and he's never played with them? How much was his progress, you know, the fact that he played all these snaps at New Mexico State? Like, it's weird because I feel like offensive line is a position where everyone's like, oh, go into the portal, get this, get that. It's also maybe the highest variance. Even quarterback, I feel like you have a far better one-to-one replication of it
chance to get
than
a
you
good
do
one.
with, you know, I'm going to go get this tackle and we're going to put him in Sharpie and it's going to be great.
Right.
Part of why we like Nebraska's offensive line is that you have
They have guys back.
You have Pritchett and Evans coming back for a second year as starter, and those might be your 2 best linemen. Yep. And that's a better
why I
picture.
like them.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's take a break. Our bracket sim of the day as we round things out next. On 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from our friends at Underdog Fantasy, where fast breaks, buzzer beaters, block parties, they are back. Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. You can make picks and win money right now in Nebraska. It's easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get those picks right. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash each night in basketball. Of course, it's a huge night in basketball tonight, both college and in the pros. Very, very simple. Higher or lower. Download the app today. Use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5 with promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus a present. Nebraska terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or visit ncpgambling.org. Well, yesterday it was yet another round of 32 loss for Nebraska in the bracket sim of the day. And
Who did they lose to last time? Santa Clara?
it was Santa Clara
Yeah,
yesterday.
That's right.
And I don't know who it's going to be today. But
Have you pressed the button already?
I pressed it.
Have you looked?
I looked.
Oh, no.
I looked.
I don't like it. I don't like your tone.
Why not?
Your tone
Well,
suggests that this isn't going to go well.
Sometimes I want to press it more than once because it can't get it keeps doing the same matchups.
Okay, just refresh and do it again.
Do you think I should hit it again?
Do you think it?
Do you want to throw
obscures,
away this result?
I don't know it, and the listeners don't know it. Only you know this result.
Do you think I should change some of the matchups? Like
You can change them.
let me see if it changed, if any of them change. Oh, none of them change. The first round matchups don't change at all.
Okay.
But the everything after that changes.
Okay.
That's the bracket sim. So he must input a bracket.
All right. So now we know. So it's always
Kinda
going to
makes
be
it a little-
BYU.
It kind of makes it a little bit more lame. Yeah.
Is it BYU Santa Clara?
Well, it doesn't have to be the same. He must do a new bracket every day or some version of a bracket
We've had
every
different
day.
ones in there. Yeah.
Yeah, because Nebraska's been in different places.
Can you open a new tab and then
I could open a new tab.
and then see if there's any real change from it? And if there's not, you just go back to the first bracket.
I have had some problems with my cache and my computer lately because I keep getting pages from the internet that only existed on the internet like 4 days ago for some reason, and I can't figure out.
If you
why.
start getting GeoCities websites, you should be concerned.
If there is somebody who would like to help me with this problem,
Why?
please
Is
let me
Happer
know.
on an Angel Fire
I
website
keep
right
getting
now.
pages that don't exist anymore. It's like my computer is inside of a time machine. All right, we're running the simulation, and here it is. Okay.
Any changes?
Not in the first round matchups,
Okay.
but things got a little bit better. I'll just
Things
say
got better.
things got a little bit better
so
as
Now
far
you
as
wanna
matchups.
promising
tell us
shape.
both of the brackets?
All right, so Nebraska 3 seed against 14 seed Troy,
Okay.
first round yet again, matching up against 6 versus 11 BYU Santa Clara
In Oklahoma City.
in Oklahoma City on a Thursday. Sorry, Santa Clara wins again. They beat BYU.
Can I admit something?
Yes,
I was watching BYU last night. I don't want any part of BYU.
nobody.
I don't
does.
want that matchup again.
Why would you want to play?
It's already
Japanza?
happened once. Nebraska already won. Everybody knows that that's happened. I don't want to see them again.
Nebraska beats Troy.
Very good.
They have won their first ever NCAA tournament game yet again.
Thank God.
It's quite
every day
every
I
day-
relive whether they win or don't win their first NCAA tournament.
every day but one. It's happened so
Yeah.
far.
So far, it's been a
that-
good ratio.
At one time, really sticks to you.
It ruined my Friday.
So they get 11 seed Santa Clara in the round of 32 on a Saturday in Oklahoma City, and they win.
Look at that.
They advance to the Sweet 16.
I'm going to Chicago.
Nebraska
My name's Matt McMaster.
and Mike Schaefer are going to Chicago to hang out and see all of McMaster's
We're
dad's
going to the Bean.
figurines. They're going to the Bean, where Nebraska will yet again, well, not yet again, they will get Houston.
Request a day trip to Hammond.
2 seed Houston in the Sweet
That
16.
is
Yeah,
an idea.
you guys should take a nice drive to Houston, by the way, beat Furman and 7 seed St. Mary's to get to the Sweet 16.
So this is the exact same bracket.
It works out differently on each time though. And we must have got a low probability sim here because Nebraska has beaten Houston.
Elite Eight.
And they're on to the Elite Eight.
Whoa.
Wow.
Where they get Michigan.
Wrong.
They get Virginia.
Michigan has lost in the Sweet 16
Oh, boy.
to a team who beat Virginia. That would be 5 seed Arkansas.
Oh, no.
Arkansas, Nebraska in the Elite Eight for a chance to go to the Final Four.
Is this the greatest sim day of my life?
I think it still is, but they did not
They're in
beat.
the Elite Eight, and it clearly
Yeah,
is.
they did not beat Arkansas though.
I don't know if they would beat Arkansas.
I don't think they'd beat Houston or Arkansas for the record. But
I don't. There's a lot of matchups in this region specifically that I would not.
Not sure
want.
they beat BYU. Yeah.
I don't. I think they could beat BYU. I don't want to have to see it. Houston is the scariest of the twos for me, and then obviously being in the same draw as Michigan feels like it's a little problematic as well.
Black Cat writes, he says, so St. Mary and Santa Clara are in the same region of a region. This is a broken model. No, not the same. Yeah, I guess they would be. St. Mary's and Santa Clara are both in the same half bracket. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a playing game. It's a straight 11 seed Santa Clara.
It's straight 11 seed Santa Clara. Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe we need to find a new bracket sim.
I don't want to because we've been using this one. Plus, we just got to the Elite Eight.
Anyway, Arkansas, Gonzaga, UConn.
I'm on the team.
And Duke in the Final Four. UConn beat Florida in the Elite Eight.
Arkansas, Gonzaga, Duke, and who?
UConn.
What a wild Gonzaga and UConn.
UConn beat Florida. Duke beat Iowa State in the Elite Eight. Arkansas beat Nebraska. And they always end up in the whack bracket. Like the
Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska has,
which usually because they're the ones not beating a double digit seed.
Right.
So they're not helping.
Gonzaga beat Arizona in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four. Gonzaga Duke National Championship where Duke wins.
Wow.
I'm just gonna hit one more. I want to do another one here.
What was the first one? Do you want to reveal that?
They lost in the sweet in the round of 32 again to Santa Clara.
Who keeps beating BYU in these sims.
Santa Clara beat BYU again in this next one I ran, and Nebraska beat Santa Clara to go to the Sweet 16. This time they appropriately lose to Houston.
We don't have to say appropriate.
Wait, so if they play the Elite Eight for that bracket, would that fall on the spring game Saturday?
It would.
Ooh,
honk.
Mr. Schedules at it again.
Yeah, it would.
Sam writes in on Twitter, lots of teams gets to face a 5 seed in the Elite Eight and not take advantage of it. Famously, that did happen to the Blue Jays when they were a 6, and there was a foul. That was not a foul. Not a foul.
We'll let you have it today.
Sometimes you beat a 15 in the Sweet 16. It happens.
Maybe
it could happen to Nebraska.
Maybe Nebraska will be so fortunate
as long as they don't lose to a 6.
Furman comes through.
As long as they don't lose to a 6 in the round of 32
or the 10,
which famously Creighton didn't that one time. Although Creighton did lose to a 6 when they were a 3 against the same team they beat as a 6 against a 3 in a round of 32 game, Baylor, in one of the saddest games of all time in 2014.
Yeah, and Baylor had already beaten Nebraska, so I understand why there would be a lot of sadness.
It was sad later after that.
No, I think it was sad when Tim Miles got ejected.
That wasn't that sad.
That's the definition of sad that you're choosing.
It wasn't going to make a difference.
That's going to do it for us today. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Let's do a crossover coming back next.